Okay, we are live yet again. We were trying to get this going, and then Gus Edwards tore his ACL. So we had to make a pivot. We had to make sure that we covered Gus Edwards tearing his ACL. And now we are going to get real money fantasy football drafts on the way. So y'all know exactly where Tyson Williams, exactly where Le'Veon Bell, and those other trade candidates that could be going to Baltimore, exactly where they're going and valued in real money fantasy football drafts right now. And we are going to be continuing to upload videos every single day. We're going to be continuing to live stream every single day throughout the entire season. We're talking waiver wire. We're talking start sit. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to come out to these live streams, make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you actually know when we're live. And yeah, let's get this next one up. Brett says Marlon Mack for the Ravens, question mark. No, teams are very reluctant to go out there and trade for players that suffer that significant injury. I'd be very surprised if we actually had that going. And let's not waste any time because we just got like a 12-minute live stream just talking about Gus Edwards. And of course, we'll talk more about that in this live stream right now. But let me send out the link to this draft over there on Patreon, and then we'll send out a notification on Discord letting people know that we are live, and we can get this going one more time. Okay, so we got some people subscribing to the channel. We'll give all those shout outs in 1 second. Now, this draft is getting filled ASAP per usual. I mean, God, that was intense. Literally, y'all caught me just completely off guard. We were live streaming and I had no idea that happened. So y'all got my initial reaction in that last video. So we are going to be drafting at the 104 here. So it looks like we're going to be taking Le'Veon Bell at the 4th pick overall. If Le'Veon Bell does not go at the 101, the 102, the 103. So it looks like we're just going to have to kind of wait here, see. Maybe if Le'Veon Bell's off the board, we could instead pivot over to a Tyson Williams, but it's just going to mainly depend. I mean, I guess you could have Le'Veon Bell at the 101, Tyson Williams at the 102, and then maybe CMC. Who would we go at the 104? Do we draft like Melvin Gordon there and then just assume that he's going to get traded to Baltimore? I don't know. We can do so many different things in this draft. Going to be very exciting, guys. And yeah, of course, y'all know we're going to get a million live streams going tonight. So not even tonight. We're streaming in the middle of the day. We're going to go through and we're going to get a million drafts before kickoff. I'm going to try to get in as many drafts as humanly possible because y'all know I've been trying to get into 250 real money drafts this season. I mean, that was my goal. And on Underdog, we've gotten in slightly over 200. I'm in a little over 20 dynasty leagues. So I think we need to hit about 10 drafts today. I don't know if we can get there. We may be cutting it a little too close, but I would love to hit 250 drafts so far this year. Okay, so surprisingly, you have Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara going at the 101, 102, 103. So let's go and let's take Le'Veon Bell. Okay, obviously we're just joking, guys, obviously. I'm sure that there are going to be some people watching this video afterwards going, oh my God, what is he talking about? Instead, we're going to go with someone that some people may be surprised to see. We're going to go Davante Adams. Y'all know I've been of the opinion that Derrick Henry's been getting overdrafted all offseason now. I mean, it's crazy that people used to be taking Derrick Henry at the 103. We would always scream how bad a pick that is. But yeah, Davante Adams at the 104, when we don't have to worry about any red flags. We have an elite ceiling given the fact that he was the best wide receiver in the pretty much fantasy football history last year. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that. Okay. And yeah, so thank you everybody for coming out to this live stream right away. I'm assuming that this live stream is not necessarily going to see the usual traffic because we just had that other one where we went through and talked Gus Edwards. But please make sure you go drop a like on the live stream. Help us out a ton. We're going to now get 3 streams going today because I'm going to stream after the games for y'all as well. We're going to stream after the games. That way we can get some questions answered. And also, we're going to be doing a ton of fun things on Underdog Fantasy after the games as well. I know a lot of people haven't been able to get into a draft with us on Underdog Fantasy so far, and I promise you, you're going to get your chance. We're 100% going to be doing things on Underdog Fantasy almost every single day this season. It's going to be extremely fun. Tyler coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, should I start Deontay Johnson or Brandon Cooks in my flex this week? Go with Deontay Johnson. I know it's not the best matchup, and also you do have the Pittsburgh Steelers in a spot where they're not going to be supposed to score a lot of points according to Las Vegas, but still I think Deontay Johnson should be the play there. We know Buffalo's going to be able to put up a ton of points, and that's going to make it where they can't necessarily just run it with Najee Harris. Okay, so Marshall says, where should Le'Veon Bell be going? My man, this just happened. So we're going to go through and we're going to look at this draft try to see where Le'Veon Bell goes. Maybe I end up taking him myself. We're just going to have to play it out, and I'll show exactly once we get later on in the draft where I think Le'Veon Bell should be going compared to the other running backs in that range. So yeah, it's going to be fun, guys. It's going to be fun. Let me move this over here. That way it's easier for me to track everything. Okay, Fallon says, Swift getting caught up in the streets. What is happening? Am I missing something on Swift? Are we about to have to turn this into a DeAndre Swift stream? Please tell me nothing happened to DeAndre Swift. Okay, so it sounds like I'm not going to speak on anything just because I have no idea what's going on. I can't even speak on anything. We're going to take Nick Chubb. I mean, when you could start Devontae Adams and then go Nick Chubb in the second round, clearly that's a no-brainer. You have Austin Eckler falling to the 207 here. Considering the hamstring injury, I think that's probably too much of a fall. You still have to be taking Austin Eckler over Joe Mixon, over Najee Harris, over Antonio Gibson. So Thomas goes with one of our favorite starts here at the 1-2 turn. He gets Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. Jayan does decide to go with his usual strategy, wide receiver, with Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins. Jayan coming out with the donation says the Swift news is fake, murder implication. Okay, that's what I was seeing on Twitter. Obviously, it's hard for me to say something's fake on a live stream when I can't necessarily say. So I'm just going to have to remove myself from the situation. I'm going to assume it's not news. And Dre coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. So says, so I just watched the must start video. I have Julio Jones, but I also have a Godwin, Metcalf, and Ayuk. Must start 3 wide receivers. Help me out. Want in a $10 draft. Okay, my man, I'm going to be getting $10 draft links out. Every single draft we're going to do right here is going to be a $10 draft that I get out in the live chat because I want y'all to get in as many as possible with me. So I promise you're going to have multiple chances to join right now. We're going to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire as our running back too. It's kind of a no-brainer when you start with Devontae Adams at the 104 to go running back here. And between Godwin, Metcalf, Ayuk, and Julio, you easily, in my opinion, have to start Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf, Julio Jones. Honestly, I'm not even really considering Brandon Ayuk out of that group, even though I know Brandon Ayuk is fully healthy at the moment. And okay, yeah, that was a wild turn of events. We're going to have a lot to see the adjustments on. Okay, so Uzi says, is Tyson Williams a pickup now? Yes, Williams was I made a video, must grab a waiver wire video a couple days ago on Tyson Williams. 100% he's a pickup. He's 100% a pickup. And my gosh, it's going to be so funny that other live stream that we did, if everybody watching it like clicks on a Gus Edwards video and it's just me talking about it at the very beginning. Oh, we're going to go through, get a live draft going, and then just, what, Gus Edwards? Gus Edwards is down. So yeah, let's go. We get Robert Woods at the 307. Amari Cooper at the 306. This is so exciting. If for whatever reason you have not dropped a like on the live stream, if for whatever reason you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you fix your life right now. We're going to get so many videos out this season. We're going to get so many live streams out as well. I'm going to be doing start sit questions videos. We're going to be going and just making sure that I have all of your lineups set up. I've been answering a ton of questions, and yeah, we're going to get a lot of stuff going. And let me see if we have anything else. And Jack says Hunt to the Ravens. Okay, guys, don't try to fool me with anything like that because if we actually saw that trade happen, the entire chat would be going Hunt, 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 Hunt over and over and over again like we saw with Gus Edwards. And at the same time, I mean, if Gus Edwards just got injured, we're not going to see a trade with the Ravens probably until next week. I mean, I can almost guarantee you that you're going to have this week Le'Veon Bell and Tyson Williams. I mean, Tyson Williams is going to have a ridiculous amount of touches this week. It's going to be crazy considering Le'Veon Bell just got to that situation. Now, JN does decide to grab Cooper Kupp at the 311. Thomas goes DJ Moore and Julio Jones. So I'm guessing we're going to be at a spot where probably it's going to be hard for us to decide to take a wide receiver in the 4th unless we get someone we like falling to us. Of course, I would love to grab a wide receiver in the 4th round if we can. If you're new to a live stream, this is a format where you have to start 3 wide receivers at the same time. It's best ball, so those guys are going to go off a little beforehand. And if I'm looking at this draft board right now, trying to see if anything stands out as just something we need to talk about, one thing would be Austin Eckler falling this far. I think it's a little too much of a fall for Austin Eckler. Like we said in the live stream last night, I think a lot of people are just losing their minds with this hamstring injury because people aren't used to the fact that, I mean, this is something we're going to be dealing with every single week. We know we're going to get guys on the injury report every single week, but because it hasn't happened in 12 months, I mean, everybody's obviously not 12 months. In about 8 months, everybody's just losing their minds going, oh my God, Chris Godwin, he's limited in practice. Oh my God, Austin Eckler, he didn't practice. Guys, calm down. This is going to be something we're dealing with every single week. No reason to drop Austin Eckler from being a first-round pick to the 207. Now you have Girthquake getting that stack in, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Going to be very interested to see how Girthquake goes through and fills out this team. We have Evan with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, hey, man, love the content. Thoughts on this 14-man, 111 startup? Went Tyreek, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Patrick Mahomes, Robert Woods, Laviska, then Mike Davis, Higbee at tight end too. Okay, so I'm not going to lie. Whenever I first saw those players, I was like, man, it seems like you probably didn't get enough value. Then, I mean, we kind of reread that. It is going to be, I know that Deontay Johnson's ahead of him in ADP, but I'm going to go Adam Thielen here. I mean, I think that this would be a pick that I'm not too excited about before the Irv Smith Jr. injury, but after the Irv Smith Jr. injury, we kind of have to go Adam Thielen. Going, okay, well, he is going to have that role in the red zone, so Adam Thielen's going to be that selection. And yeah, Evan, I'm not going to lie, I thought that was a really bad team until we saw it was a 14-man startup, because in a 14-man startup, you do have to also understand the fact that quarterbacks are going to get their value bumped up, because at this point, all teams are going to have to roster 2, and there aren't going to be that many to go around, so that's going to be a position that's a little bit harder to come by, and it's not completely replaceable. You get the stack with Tyreek Hill, you get the double stack going all in on that Kansas City Chiefs offense. Yeah, so I really like that team. I was going to say if it was like a 12-man league, however, I probably wouldn't be a fan. Now, Diet Powerades coming out says, Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Julio Jones, T. Higgins, Antonio Brown need to start 4. Okay, so we're essentially only having to bench 1 out of this list. The guy that I would actually probably end up benching would be Antonio Brown. If Chris Godwin was going to miss this week, I would go through and tell you to bench T. Higgins instead. But no, with Chris Godwin looking like he's playing in full, we're going to be benching Antonio Brown. And Matthew says, Tyson Williams or Darrell Henderson in a half PPR. Oh my gosh, guys. Of course, if you're asking me for the season, we're going Darrell Henderson. If you're asking me for this week and who we're going to start, I mean, you do have Tyson Williams going up against the Raiders. You have Darrell Henderson going up against Chicago. I mean, Chicago is supposed to get blown out by Los Angeles. And obviously, Sony Michel's not going to be fully up to speed in that situation just yet. So that's a very tough question. I mean, you're catching me on with the initial reaction here. I would probably still go Darrell Henderson. But it's going to be really close. Lorenzo says, how much fab would you be spending on getting Le'Veon Bell? Getting Le'Veon Bell, I think at this point, I'm mainly going to depend. Like, one thing I don't like about people asking fab questions is we need so much more information than just the blank on fab question. Now we're going to get Mark Andrews, because I think that Baltimore does have to skew a little more pass happy. Mark Andrews got the massive extension. There are no real wide receivers that I'm too excited about drafting in this range. So we're going to grab Mark Andrews as that, I don't want to say elite tight end, but as that very exciting tight end here in the 5th round. And with fab, of course, it's going to depend on how many teams are in your league, who you're cutting, who are the other players on the waiver wire. If you're playing in a 12-man format where you actually have players that you'd be cutting in the range of, just say, a Paris Campbell, in a format like that, I'd be willing to spend most likely. We have to keep in mind also, this is going to be a 17-week season where I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it sounds like we're going to have to deal with some kind of COVID implications, like maybe you have players randomly missing games for whatever reason. And in that scenario, I do want to be a little more reluctant to blow all our fab at the beginning of the season. So I will say we're probably willing to spend, let's just call it 25 to 30% of our fab. But of course, if you're playing in like a 10-man format, if you're playing in an 8-man format, that just slides down to less and less. Okay, Josh Jacobs, Laviska Shenault. Let me pull this back over. And yeah, we've had a crazy couple of minutes here. Let me switch this chat over to subscriber only. That way I'm going to be able to go through and answer some more questions. We're going to be live until kickoff today, guys. I am so excited for football. We're going to be live until kickoff. We're going to be live after kickoff at the same time. I'm sorry, after the game ends. So let's go through. It's going to be a very long live stream. And Parker clearly has no idea that Gus Edwards tore his ACL. That was not an auto pick. That was a pick that happened with like 5 seconds left on the clock. Okay, so this team looks like it's completely dead. I guess that's free money in the league pot for us. I mean, RIP going Gus Edwards here. Jayan decides to grab his 5th wide receiver in a row. No running backs. Thomas grabs the tight end in that Mark Andrews range with TJ Hawkinson. So Kyler Murray's still available. I mean, who has DeAndre Hopkins here? I think JN made a massive mistake. I think it's a massive mistake to go Odell Beckham Jr. instead of Kyler Murray. Like, if Thomas ends up going Kyler at the 601, I think that JN has to be looking at himself and just shaking his head. Let's see. Thomas taking this down to the very last second. That's Antonio Brown at the 601. So if JN does not go Kyler Murray here, we're going to have to take away mod status for JN. We'll have to take away mod status. I mean, because I know JN's, yeah, he goes Kyler. I knew he was probably trying to get away with taking another receiver, but that would be crazy. Okay, so Penis comes out with a donation. Long time no see, my friend. And he says, you said to try to trade Waller for an elite quarterback in that 2-quarterback league. Should I trade Waller for Aaron Rodgers and Mike Gesicki? Should I get more? If you're playing in a 12-man quarterback league, yes, you should trade Darren Waller if it's going to be a 12-man 2-quarterback league for Aaron Rodgers and Mike Gesicki, especially if I said on a podcast that you should be going through and trying to move Waller. Of course, I don't remember your exact team. We do a ton of Patreon podcasts every single day. I would still say that we want to be going through and making that move, however. Okay. Did I switch this chat over to subscriber only? Because it's flying right now. Yeah, so we're going to also put on slow mode where it's one message every 10 seconds. And let me give a shout out to everybody subscribing to the channel. We have A-Team Mostrix subscribing after this. We have G, Orioles, Bonus, Diet, Omar, Nick, Iraq, Garrison, Jordan, Ty, Huber, Pasha, Danny, Michael, Sazu, Harris, Onash, and we'll be done with that. Jayan says, Mason, check Twitter. Okay, I'll pull up Twitter right now. Okay, Juju Smith-Schuster at the 607. Let's pull this back over. Okay, so at the 609, I think that we are actually going to grab a third running back here just because the wide receivers that we're going to be looking at aren't that excited. Y'all know I was all aboard. I was leading the train saying that Darrell Henderson was getting overdrafted when he was going in the 4th round because they were bringing in another running back. Well, they brought in another running back just like we expected. And now I'm going to be fine to take him at a discount at the 609. So let's take Darrell Henderson here at the 609. See what Jayan ended up sending us. Okay, so a trade was done with okay, yeah, I'm going to go through and reverse that trade in the Flock 2. Yeah, that is horrible. That is just horrendous. Thank you for sending that to me. So what happened is Jayan sent me a picture of our Dynasty Patreon League Flock 2. Someone had a Gus Edwards. Yeah, someone had a Gus Edwards trade sitting out there, and we're going through and we're reversing that. Okay, so now we're going to be on the clock real quick. I'm assuming we're okay, so the running backs are still available here. The thing is, if this is a tournament where we're looking for the highest ceiling possible, I think that we're actually going to go with Deebo Samuel. However, if we're also looking for a floor at the same time, I think that if we take Myles Gaskin, no, it's so hard to take Gaskins here. So if y'all are playing in a regular league, I would advise you to go with the Myles Gaskin. But just because this is going to be a best ball format where we do have to start 3 wide receivers every single week, we know it's going to be a lot harder to find wide receivers that can find just roles on their respective offenses later on in the drafts. So yeah, let's go Deebo Samuel at the 704. Okay, so Myles Gaskin at the 705, Trey Sermon at the 706. Let me know if y'all think I made a mistake there in going with the Deebo Samuel instead of a Myles Gaskin. It could easily be a mistake, but the problem is just getting caught on the wrong side of the wide receiver run is going to be pretty tough. It's going to be really tough. I'm sorry if I'm not talking right now, guys. I have just something we have to deal with in that Flock Patreon League. Trying to deal with that right now. Okay, so Marquez Callaway goes at the 708. Now, hopefully, I don't even know what we kind of want to see here because we have 3 running backs, we have 3 receivers, and we have the elite tight end. I guess maybe at this point, it would be beneficial for us if those tight ends started getting drafted. Now, you have guys like Marquez Callaway, Michael Pittman. Okay, let me pull up the live chat real quick to see if I'm missing anything. And yeah, we are missing some donations out here. I'll go through and get all these in 1 second. Okay, so we have Omen G says, do you like Henderson or Antonio Brown in the flex full PPR? We're going to have to go Darrell Henderson there. I mean, you actually have the Rams as massive favorites in this game. So Ram says, my brother, need your help, please. With Gus's injury on my league, is someone's desperate for another running back. Thoughts on Drake and CeeDee Lamb or Chris Godwin for Calvin Ridley? I would 100% trade Kenyon Drake and Chris Godwin for Calvin Ridley. Yes, go make that trade. Go take advantage of that guys that's going to be desperate for a running back. After this, we have Zachary coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man, Zachary. Happy to see you out in the live chat. Says, full PPR flex start, Juju versus Buffalo or Randall Cobb versus New Orleans. And then, so between Juju and Randall Cobb, we are going to go Juju. I know that Pittsburgh's not supposed to put up a lot of points against Buffalo right now, but still, I think it's going to be a spot where Juju's just a player that we 100% need to be starting over Randall Cobb. And then our second question is Brandon Cooks versus Jacksonville or Brandon Ayuk versus Detroit. And then also Antonio Brown or Marquez Callaway. Okay, so I'm assuming that we're just picking one out of Antonio Brown, Brandon Cooks, Brandon Ayuk, and Marquez Callaway. There, I'm actually going to go with Antonio Brown. While we actually have Las Vegas right now telling us that you're not going to have that many points put up by the Dallas Cowboys, and this game is going to be more so just handled easily by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I, for whatever reason, have a very hard time in believing that. I think this game does have a ton of shootout potential, so I'm going to be going with Antonio Brown there, even though Chris Godwin is fully healthy. Fallon says John Harbaugh to running back confirmed. That's pretty funny, my man. That is pretty funny. Okay, so Jalen Waddle at 805. It's surprising to see both Tom Brady and Trevor Lawrence going here at the 803 and the 804. I mean, you still have other quarterbacks available like in Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I could never get behind taking Tom Brady or Trevor Lawrence over them. So you are looking at Parker deciding to stack Tom Brady with Chris Godwin. But even at this point, I think this is still more so a reach that you actually had on Tom Brady. I think you could have gotten Brady making it back at the end of the ninth. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of this Tom Brady value. I probably would have preferred to just grab another one of these receivers here. Now we're looking at Girthquake. Girthquake, I honestly would have really liked to see you go with McCole Hardman over Jalen Waddle when you do have Patrick Mahomes on this team. Now, Brandon Cooks on. So we're going to get Aaron Rodgers to come in here and to stack with our guy, Davante Adams. It's going to be a no-brainer pick for us. I would have liked to grab a wide receiver in this format, but whenever we have the ability to get Davante Adams at the 104, then Aaron Rodgers here at the end of the ninth, into the eighth, I think we 100% have to make that pick. We have 100% have to make that pick. Nicholas coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, just traded Gus Edwards last night and was questioning my decision this afternoon when the news dropped. Safe to say I dodged a bullet there. Yeah, I mean, it definitely got lucky. Definitely got lucky on that one. Okay, so also, guys, if you have yet to go down there, drop a like on the live stream. Make sure you do so. Nothing helps us out more than you dropping that like on the live stream. And also, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing a real money fantasy football drafts still very often on Underdog. Instead of them being season-long drafts, Underdog has it where we're going to be able to do drafts that are weekly. So after the game today, I'll actually probably be displaying those drafts for y'all, where we're going to go through and we're going to do weekly drafts. So you're going to construct a team for week one. You're going to go up against other members of the channel and myself. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Parker says, my Gus pick was an auto draft. RIP Parker getting auto drafted Gus Edwards at the 510. I'm sorry, my man. Zach says Saquon Barkley to the Ravens. That's pretty funny, my man. That's pretty funny. I mean, imagine. Can you imagine if Saquon Barkley went to the Ravens? If Saquon Barkley went to the Ravens, I'd have Barkley at the 102. No question. No question. Okay, so now after this, A.J. Dillon at the 812 is kind of what we want to see at this point, to be honest. We're hoping that we get a wide receiver that we like falling back to us. So Wanted Alex taking it down to the last second goes a Michael Thomas. That's going to help us out because personally, I'm not looking at a Michael Thomas in this format with that much intrigue because we have to look at it and say, okay, well, this is a format where we don't have the fantasy football playoffs. However, we are just trying to score the most points throughout the entire season. So Michael Thomas isn't doing us much here. We ended up having to take him in this format like in the 11th round. Yeah, so that was a pick that I honestly was kind of hoping was going to go off before us. But when we have 3 running backs, we definitely want to be grabbing another receiver. We 100% want to be grabbing another receiver here. And DJ Chark goes, so that does suck for us. Now, between Jacoby Myers, Marvin Jones, Rondell Moore, Elijah Moore, like we were going back and saying, if this was a league where we had the fantasy football playoffs, I would actually really strongly consider taking either Rondell Moore or Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore would probably be my pick in that scenario. But when we're just looking for points throughout the entire season, I actually think now that we have Mac Jones starting for the New England Patriots, it's going to make a lot more sense to just grab Jacoby Myers at the beginning of the 11th round. I'm sorry, the beginning of the 9th round. I have no idea why I can't speak today. I have no idea why I can't speak. Jazzy says, how high are you on Tyson Williams now? What I want to do in this live stream is I want to wait until we have Tyson Williams going off the board, and I'll tell you exactly what I think about him there, and if I think he should have gone earlier or after, because it's hard for me to tell you right now, oh, he's an 11th round pick. Let's actually see what was available in the 11th round, and let's see if we like any other players more in that range. So I promise you we're going to go through, we're going to talk about that. I do think we're going to have some other players into this situation, but we're going to talk about that. Now, we have Overcome says, if Eckler is out, do I start Jackson or go to the waiver wire for ... Okay, so if Austin Eckler is out, I mean, right now, you better go pick up Tyson Williams. I made a waiver wire video talking about Tyson Williams just a couple days ago, and clearly that still stands true. I mean, tenfold. I really hope y'all listened to that and went out there and picked him up. And beyond this, I think that, I mean, right now, Justin Jackson's going to be pretty hard to start because we don't know what the breakdown's going to look like in that backfield between Joshua Kelly, Larry Roundtree, and Justin Jackson. They are going to have 3 active running backs in that backfield. So Justin Jackson's not that 1-for-1 replacement. I would definitely prefer going to the waiver wire. It's hard for me to tell you exactly who you're going to have as those options on the waiver wire. If you could pick up like a JD McKissick, a James White, those guys would be intriguing. Now, Aviator coming out with the donation, thank you, says, should I put Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Chris Godwin as my flex? Godwin seemed like the better choice with Woods and A.J. Brown and Cook and Taylor. Okay, so obviously this is a monstrous team. I'm going to be going Chris Godwin over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know that's kind of crazy whenever we had Chris Godwin limited earlier this week, but I actually have Chris Godwin as our wide receiver 6 this week. I mean, I'm all in on Chris Godwin. Okay. So now let's go through and see what else that we're looking at. And one thing I need to do real quick, I know a lot of people are probably new to this live stream right now and trying to figure out where we are drafting. This, in my opinion, is by far and away the best place to be drafting your fantasy teams. And they're going to be doing drafts throughout the season as well. Like we already said, those weekly drafts that we're going to be doing on the live stream damn near every single night. So make sure you go and take advantage of this offer right now because it's no longer going to be available on the 13th. It will still be available mainly, but they're going to change it. So right now you're actually seeing when you go to Underdog Fantasy, they have a glitch where when you make a $10 deposit and use promo code FLOCK, you get $25 added to your account. Not only do you get $25 added to your account, you actually get our 2021 draft guide or 2021 rookie dynasty draft guide. That's hundreds of pages of information, like a $75 value. And at the same time, you are getting our 2021 rankings and our 2021 tiers. So you get all of that, like $100 value if you include the $25 added to your account. Now on the 13th, that $25 that you would get for signing up with promo code FLOCK, that is going to then change for $10. So you need to make sure you take advantage of this now. That way you get the $25 added to your account. And of course, when that $25 is added to your account, it's not going anywhere. So make sure you take advantage of that right now. Please, guys, please take advantage of that. And also, I know we've had a lot of people that have wanted to go through and use that glitch on Underdog Fantasy that were from Arizona, but sadly you couldn't play Underdog Fantasy on Arizona. We know with sports gambling and everything, they're taking it state by state, but Arizona now has Underdog. You can download Underdog Fantasy in Arizona and use promo code FLOCK. I think the only states left, Nevada, you can't play in because they have the casinos, and obviously they have to try to keep the money in the casinos. Then they also, Louisiana, Washington State, and I think there's one more like Iowa or something. They're only like 4 states, so 99% sure. I mean, your own state allows you to play Underdog Fantasy, so please make sure you go out there, take advantage. When you use promo code FLOCK, you can get in 1,000,000 drafts with me this upcoming season. We're going to be doing stuff on the live stream very often, and it supports the channel. You get our rankings, you get our draft guide, and most importantly, there's nothing that supports this channel more, so please make sure you're taking advantage of that. Okay, so now let's move this over. We are on the clock. Terrace Marshall going right before us. So now let's switch this over. Curtis Samuel, obviously, with the significant injury. Devontae Parker, Henry Ruggs here. Okay, so if we're looking at the picks between us, we're going to go with James Conner. You know what? No, we're not going to go Connor. Let's take a Devontae Parker here. I mean, I think that we still need to be bringing in these wide receivers. And I know the teams between us don't have that many running backs, but I was just thinking that there was a very small chance that we were having both Devontae Parker and Henry Ruggs make it back to us. So Le'Veon Bell at the 10-11. Have we had Tyson Williams off the board yet? We have not had Tyson Williams off. Okay, so this is a pick that, I mean, I guess now may tell us that people are valuing Le'Veon over Tyson. I don't know if we can get there. I mean, it's close. I will definitely say that. Okay, that's intriguing. Le'Veon also goes ahead of Jamal Williams. He goes ahead of James Conner. I think that's probably a strong pick if the team doesn't decide to bring in another running back there. Very interesting. Very interesting to go Le'Veon Bell at the 10-11. Okay, so let me pull up the live chat and see if we have anything else coming out. Seth says he has Chase Edmonds as his running back too now. So I'm assuming Seth has to deal with that injury to your guy, Gus Edwards. It is what it is. It is what it is. Jordan says Le'Veon Bell over Tyson is an L for me. What if he goes back to back? Let's see him go Le'Veon Bell and possibly Tyson Williams here. He goes Mike Gesicki instead. So are we going to be in a spot where we have to consider Williams? So Caden is on the clock after taking Julio Jones. He goes James Conner. So the question is, if we want a running back here, are we going Tyson Williams? Or are we going Jamal Williams, Tony Pollard? Obviously, the play is Tyson if we know for 100% sure that they're not bringing someone in. And honestly, we're going to go Tyson Williams. Let's just go and get him. I know that we were talking about letting somebody else draft him, but no, we're going to get him instead. I mean, he is going to be now the starting running back for the Baltimore Ravens until they bring someone in, which is a real possibility. But for now, he's our guy. He's the guy that we're going to get. This is the draft board. So far, we're bringing him in right after James Conner, Michael Carter, and Le'Veon Bell. So probably for us to just provide y'all a more accurate estimation on where he would be going in your drafts, maybe it would have been better if we passed on him. But honestly, I think that he's the best value available on the board at this point. And yeah, so at the 11:04, I'm fine with that. We have Aviator coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, I got second in my fantasy last year with your help, but I can't wait for the season and hope I can end the season with some money. I appreciate you a bunch. No, my man, I appreciate you coming out, hanging out with us in the live chat. Thank you so much. Cam says, I just got Adams, Hopkins, Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans in Best Ball Mania. How? What was going on in your Best Ball Mania draft? Were there people going in there just selecting random players? Yeah, guys, if you don't know, Best Ball Mania is like the $1 million contest that's on Underdog Fantasy. That is crazy. And Walter says, Tannehill versus Arizona or Dak Prescott versus Tampa Bay this week. I actually had the same exact question earlier on Patreon, and I'm going to go with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, I think the thing is, that game, I'm just fully confident that you could end up seeing the Arizona Cardinals and the Tennessee Titans game turn into a shootout. And right now, Vegas is telling us that, I mean, Dak and the Dallas Cowboys are, I don't want to say supposed to get crushed this week, but it's not supposed to be that close. So definitely go through, and I don't want to say definitely, but personally, I would just go and I would make sure that we're taking Ryan Tannehill in that scenario. But please let me know what y'all think in the live chat for that one, because I'm not necessarily 100% sure on that. Okay, today's just been wild, guys. Today's just been a wild day so far, and I'm assuming it's going to be a wild day for a very long time. I mean, oh Lord, oh Lord. Okay, I'm just pulling up the video that we did with Gus Edwards right now, and we have a million comments on that. Okay, so Devin Singletary at the 11-12. Okay, so we got some running backs going at the end of the 11th round here. This is perfect for us whenever we did decide to take 4 running backs on this team, because at this point, we're hoping that we're going to get some wide receivers making it back. So yeah, this is probably best case scenario for us. Tyrell Williams at the 12-01 by Thomas. Okay, let's go through and let's check out Thomas's team. If y'all don't know who Thomas is, Thomas edits all of our videos for us. He does all the thumbnails. Thomas helps us out to the point where you wouldn't believe it. Like, you literally wouldn't believe what Thomas does for the channel. And here at running back, he starts Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. At receiver, he has DJ Moore, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, Michael Gallup, Will Fuller. Grabs TJ Hawkinson at tight end. Gets Tannehill at quarterback to stack with Julio Jones. Zach Moss, Devin Singletary at running back. Tyrell. I really like that start with what we have from Thomas. I think instead of Tyrell Williams, I possibly go Dallas Goedert here. I think Dallas Goedert at the 12:04 is pretty good value, even though Dallas Goedert, of course, is trending in the wrong direction now that we know that Zach Ertz is going to be there. Okay, so the Ravens just signed Devonta Freeman. Okay, so with Freeman, does he have any juice left? I would be really surprised if Freeman really does anything for that team. How old is Devonta Freeman? Like, when was the last time we saw him be relevant? Okay, so here we're going to take Cole Beasley. I'm not even going to think about this that much. We just need wide receivers that are going to see targets. He's going to see a lot of targets on one of the best offenses in football. So let's go through, scroll this down, taking Cole Beasley at the 12:09. Of course, there are some concerns that he misses time, but I think that Beasley at the 12:09 is just going to be fine. Okay, so now let me go and let me look up Devonta Freeman's age. He's 29 years old. Okay, so what was the last season that he actually looked impressive? Obviously, we are box score scouting right now, which doesn't help us out much. Okay, so he had 54 carries last year. The last year, I mean, in 2019, he went for 184 carries. 3.6 yards per carry. I mean, last year he dropped to, keep in mind, on a very bad New York Giants team with a very limited sample, he dropped to 3.2 yards per carry. I think Tyson Williams is still the guy that you want in that scenario. I think he's still the guy that you want. It's probably a lot grosser. And I still think we take him at the 11:04. Let me know what y'all are thinking in the live chat, but I think we still take him at the 11:04, to be honest. That is wild. And Grandpappy coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, rate the team, 10-team, half PPR with a flex. Aaron Jones, Saquon, David Montgomery, DJ Moore, Deontay, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Sony Michel, AJ Dillon, Christian Kirk, Trey Lance, Kyler Murray. I will say we have to be making some adjustments. I think you have a lot of talent, especially at running back, but there's no real reason to have Kirk Cousins, Trey Lance, and Kyler Murray on the same team. Actually, I apologize. That's most likely Christian Kirk. I'm assuming that's Christian Kirk, not Kirk Cousins. So let me walk that back. I still want to be making an adjustment, however, that I think we should go through and we should most likely trade for another receiver. When you have Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley on the same roster, I'm not that inclined to hold David Montgomery to that extremely high value. So if you could go through, if you could trade David Montgomery in a package with one of those wide receivers to get to an elite guy, like if you could trade David Montgomery and Deontay Johnson to get to Calvin Ridley, that's 100% something I'd be looking to do. Okay, so now we're back up on the clock. We did take Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Now, the receivers in this range are going to be slightly appealing because when we take Rodgers and Davante Adams, we're so already invested in that situation. It doesn't necessarily make sense for us to take another quarterback this high. So I say we just take another wide receiver here looking for guys getting targets. I know Rager's ahead of Paris Campbell in ADP, and when we're going to be drafting in 200-plus leagues, we definitely have to go through and care about ADP. Personally, I'm just going to prefer Paris Campbell in that scenario. I think that he was actually a more impressive prospect coming out of Ohio State than you had with TCU, Jalen Reagor. But still, I mean, this is also another offense that should have more passing volume with Carson Wentz compared to what you actually have with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a significantly better quarterback for fantasy given his rushing production. But yeah, I'm going to be betting on Paris Campbell over Jalen Reagor this season. Jet says, do we pick up Devonta Freeman? No, do not pick up Freeman. Do not pick up Freeman. Do not do that. I mean, you can pick him up if you're playing in like a deeper league. Like if you're playing in a dynasty league, 100% go pick up Devonta Freeman. But for a lot of y'all that are going to be playing in shallow redraft leagues where you only start 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a tight end and a flex, then at that point, Devonta Freeman, do not pick him up. Do not pick him up. Hunter Henry at the 1306. I think that's probably, I'm not joking, that's probably good news for Tyson Williams. Devonta Freeman getting signed there is good news for Tyson Williams because now you can be a little less worried about them bringing in like Melvin Gordon, be a little less worried about them bringing in someone that actually matters. So I'm assuming that's a pretty good thing for him, to be honest. Maybe it's an arrogant assumption, but I'm operating under the assumption now that Tyson Williams is just by far and away the best running back in that situation. Jameis Winston at the 1307 ahead of Matt Ryan. Very intriguing to see Jameis Winston go at the 1307. Amara St. Brown at the 1308. And guys, if you have yet to go down there, subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the live stream. Make sure y'all do it. Make sure you go out there, drop that like, subscribe to the channel. We are going to be just having so much fun in these live streams throughout the entire year. And have so much fun is Underdog Fantasy. I mean, I know that a lot of people have already asked me if we're going to get some Battle Royale drafts going on Underdog Fantasy, which, I mean, I'm excited to do it. We're not going to do any in this live stream right now. We can do some later tonight, and we're going to do 1 million throughout the season. I just, in this live stream, want to make sure that we're getting the entire drafts out there that we can, because, I mean, these drafts are going to be gone in just a couple hours. So, of course, guys, make sure you go and sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. You can find the link in the description. You get $25 added to your account with a $10 deposit. You also get to come out here and draft with me on the live stream. You get our draft guide. You get our rookie draft guide, hundreds of pages of information. You also get our rankings and tiers. I mean, you get all of that. So please make sure you go out there and use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Okay, so now we get JD McKissick at the 13-10. And what are the chances Devontae Freeman goes in this draft? What are the odds, guys? I mean, this is going to be an 18-round draft. What are the odds you think that Freeman actually ends up getting drafted? I would assume pretty damn small, to be honest. But it would be funny. It would be funny to say the least. Okay, so AJ Green at the 14-01. And okay, this is wild. I'm just kind of in shock right now with everything that we have going on. Bobby Hill coming out with a donation says, would you trade Cooper Kupp and Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Jonathan Taylor and Odell Beckham Jr. in a 10-man half PPR league? I have DeAndre Hopkins, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, Dalvin Swift, Clyde, and Sermon. Yes, I would actually go through and I'd make that trade for Jonathan Taylor. I mean, here, yes, you're making a significant downgrade from Cooper Kupp to Odell Beckham Jr., but I think the upgrade at running back is actually going to matter a lot more in a format like that where you're already loaded. I think that with the Jonathan Taylor, just makes a lot of sense to go out there and make that trade. Colin says, does this injury do anything for Lamar's projections? Honestly, this has to hurt Lamar Jackson, right? Because while, yes, they may skew a little more pass happy, I think we're going to be in a spot where the running efficiency probably dips down. So it sucks, but it has to hurt Lamar. I don't think we can spin this in a way that it helps Lamar Jackson, to be honest. Okay, so now we're going to be back up on the clock. And I guess we're going to draft our second quarterback here. I mean, like we said, we passed on it earlier, but getting Matt Ryan here is just going to be too much value. This is a league where we do not have access to the waiver wire, so we are going to have to make sure that we're going through and drafting multiple quarterbacks, multiple tight ends, which of course I would not recommend for you to do in a regular draft. But Matt Ryan here at the 1409, it's going to make a lot of sense. I promise you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks going off in just a little bit. Let me show off this entire draft board real quick for anybody just not coming into the live stream. And you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks coming out in just 1 second that are pretty gross, to be honest. I mean, you're going to be surprised to see some of the gross names that we have later on in this stream at QB. And Nash coming out with another donation says, thoughts on my team. I also picked up he says, I also picked up Freeman in high stakes because I'm weaker at running back. It's the team you answered with the start set. Yeah, obviously you're doing the same exact thing that you were before with start set. And Joe says they also lost Marcus Peters. RIP Baltimore Ravens. I would love to see like the over-under for Vegas and what they had for the wins before and after all these injuries. Like, how many games do you think they lost just over-under with the wins on Las Vegas spreads? Because that is very, very surprising. Okay, so now Damian Williams at the 14-11. We already have 4 running backs on this team. We're only going to be drafting 5 RBs here most likely. So we're not necessarily dying to see one of those guys making it back to us like Phillip Lindsay, Damian Williams. So let's pull this back up. So hopefully we get one of these players off the board. I mean, you do have both Wanted Alex and B-Nas with only 1 quarterback to them. So now we're done at QB. We're going to be looking for 1 more running back, 1 more tight end, and then maybe 2 more receivers. We may be able to bring in 2 more receivers to this team. Wanted Alex gets Ryan Fitzpatrick at the 1501. Pretty sure that he's on auto draft, and this is a real money league. So sorry to hear that Wanted Alex maybe had to go do something and ended up getting auto drafted in a real money league. Of course, that is not ideal. Now, BNAS, let's see where they decide to go. They could go quarterback. They could grab Zach Wilson, which for us would probably be really good. They go Josh Palmer instead. Now, we're going to be on the clock. Zach Ertz is appealing whenever we have Mark Andrews. I mean, y'all know how much I love KJ Hamler, and I've really liked KJ Hamler for a long time now. Oh, this this is tough. I think when we get the tight end in Mark Andrews, we draft him thinking that he is going to be someone starting for us every single week. So might as well grab the wide receiver that I'm a big fan of in KJ Hamler. We've been a big fan of him since before the preseason. Let's go in. Let's check out JN's team. Starting off 5 receivers in a row in JN. I'm sure you already heard me give you crap about going Odell here over Kyler Murray. I think you kind of got lucky that Thomas decided to pass on Kyler at the 5-6 turn. Then you get Edmonds, Raheem Mostert at the 7-11 and 8-02. Completely fine with that. Melvin Gordon at the 9-01. Personally, I think that it's good for this league when we don't have the playoffs and we're just looking for total points. If it was going to be, say, the big dog drafts or Best Ball Mania or the puppy drafts instead, then I would prefer Zach Moss. But yeah, Melvin Gordon, fine here. Rondale Moore as another wide receiver. I think also here, Rondale Moore, I would prefer Marvin Jones. I would prefer Hollywood Brown just in this format alone when we don't have the playoffs. Leonard Fournette at the 11-11. Completely fine with Fournette. Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet. Surprised to see you go with Gerald Everett over Dallas Goedert. I think that's one mistake that we would point out. I mean, I definitely do prefer Dallas Goedert over Everett. Cole Kmet, good value. Evan Ingram, good value. So yeah, really intriguing. Deezenators takes Kadarius Toney, who looks like he's going to be good for week 1 in the 15th round. Used to be able to get Kadarius Toney in the 18th in every single draft. Every single draft you used to be able to get him there. Okay, guys. Yes, Joe says, bro, you called Gus Edwards. Yeah, I mean, I said that we didn't like drafting Gus Edwards and he was getting overdrafted. It's not like we called him, though. It's not like we called him getting injured. I mean, I can't run victory laps on it. It's like how last year I was screaming that Courtland Sutton was being really overdrafted when he was going at a ridiculous range. But I mean, it's not like he tears his ACL in week 1 and I'm running out and going, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. I mean, it's kind of like we got lucky, to be honest. I mean, if I'm looking up right now how many leagues I drafted Gus Edwards in. So let me look up. I know I drafted J.K. Dobbins in a decent amount. Like we had J.K. Dobbins in, I think, 11% of our leagues whenever he had his injury. But with Gus Edwards, we drafted him in 3.8% of our leagues. Let me see how many $250 drafts we drafted him in. Really hoping we drafted him in no $250 drafts. That'd be ideal. Zach Wilson at the 15-10. Yeah, we drafted Gus Edwards in none of the $250 drafts. How many? And we drafted J.K. Dobbins in none of those either. Okay, so that's exciting. That's exciting. Let me switch this back over. Joe says, should I worry with Eckler's hamstring? No, guys, I think you maybe should worry about week 1. You're not necessarily having to drop Austin Eckler down that much, so don't be freaking out. Just Sherman coming out with a donation says, am I benching Ronald Jones tonight for Tyson Williams? Yes. Yes, you are. 100%. You have to play Tyson Williams over Ronald Jones. You get Zach Ertz going at the 16-01. Okay, Zach Ertz is good value on Zach Ertz by Thomas. I mean, Zach Ertz has clearly been someone rising. You used to be able to get him like the 18th round before you just had him confirmed staying on the Philadelphia Eagles. But now that he's 100% going to be on the Eagles, that has to be considered great value at the 16-01. And thank you, everybody subscribing to the channel. I mean, we have a ton of people that have came out and subscribed. We just hit 35,000 subscribers yesterday. And Albert says, pick 2, Brandon Cooks, Robbie Anderson, Odell Beckham Jr., Chase Claypool, and Michael Gallup. I think you have to go Robbie Anderson against the Jets, not because it's a revenge game or anything, but because Terrace Marshall isn't going to be brought up to speed at week 1. And I think you're going to get a lot of targets between DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. And then between Brandon Cooks, Odell Beckham Jr., Chase Claypool, and Michael Gallup. This is a tougher question, but I am going to be going with Odell Beckham Jr. against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that's a spot where you're actually going to have the Cleveland Browns be forced to throw the ball very often. So yeah, go with Odell. Jake coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says Chase, Chark, or Tyson Williams, Henderson or Higgins, Swift or Tyson Williams all week 1. Okay, I think that we go between Chase, Chark, or Tyson Williams. We go Williams there. I think we're going to go with Williams there. And then between Henderson and Higgins, we're going to go Darrell Henderson. And between Swift or Tyson Williams, that is tough, my dude. The matchup is brutal for DeAndre Swift. I mean, DeAndre Swift, I think, is someone that we shouldn't be starting in many leagues whatsoever. With that being said, like, if you would have asked me that question a long time ago, I would have laughed at you, obviously, but things have changed so fast. That last question is going to be the hardest one, and I probably will say just... I don't even know what I can tell you on that one, my man. I wish I had a confident answer. I don't know what to say, though. I really don't. Now when we're going to be on the clock, I think with these wide receivers in mind, we're going to see a bigger fall off at running back. So let's just take Ty Johnson here. Let's get Ty Johnson as our running back 5. And I think we're going to be done at running back after we go Chubb, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Darrell Henderson, Tyson Williams, and Ty Johnson. All different bye weeks at the same time. So yeah, let's go through. And then we're going to be probably grabbing one more tight end. And then we're going to grab one more receiver to end this draft. Unless, I'm telling you right now, we're probably getting the tight end right here. And then what we're going to do is wait until the 18th. And maybe we go with the receiver or running back. But honestly, after our 17th round selection, I think everybody will be good to see this draft. And we can get out another one. We're going to be doing a million drafts tonight, guys. We're going to be doing a million drafts tonight. I promise you that. So yeah, after this pick right here, we'll go through and we'll get another one. Of course, if you were not able to see the entire board, actually, I can go through and I can show you the entire board right now. That way you can pause it, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do. So our first real money fantasy draft of the night. We're going to get a lot going after this. We're going to be live streaming until kickoff. So make sure you go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. We're going to be doing stuff on Underdog Fantasy every single week throughout the entire season. So we're going to still have so many opportunities for you to get into more drafts with us and everything else that we're going to be doing on Underdog. It's going to be a ton of fun. Make sure you take advantage. Use promo code FLOCK, support the channel, get our draft guide, get our rankings, get $25 added to your account. They also just launched in Arizona. Arizona, you couldn't play up until now, but Arizona, if y'all been waiting for it, I mean, you are good to play in Arizona. Al Peterson says, just heard about Gus Edwards. Mike Bozier says 0% owned. Few. Okay, I'm happy to see you do not have Gus Edwards anywhere, my man. Nash says, do you want me to sit AJ Brown? He practiced today. No, do not sit AJ Brown. No, do not sit AJ Brown. I don't know if I told you to sit AJ Brown. I doubt I did. If I did, it was 100% a mistake. We're going to go Anthony Ferkshire here. I think that while, yes, he looks like he may only be playing on passing downs, still a spot that he should be at least getting targeted at a heavy rate. They don't have that many wide receiver 3s, wide receiver 4s that are going to be running a lot of routes in Tennessee. So let's get him as our tight end 2 behind Mark Andrews, different bye weeks. And then we're going to end this draft off with one running back or receiver. But let's go through and let me set up another draft for y'all in the live chat right now. Y'all don't need to see the last 2 rounds there. We're already down taking players like Anthony Ferkshire. Let me just make sure that we can get this set up. And it's going to be a $10 draft. I think every draft that we're going to do tonight is just going to be a $10 draft. That way I can go through and get as many of y'all in these as possible. Okay, so let's go and grab this. And yeah, big congrats to Underdog Fantasy for filling Best Ball Mania, for filling the big dog drafts. Underdog Fantasy has done millions of drafts this offseason. At least, let me rephrase that. I don't think millions of drafts, but they have had millions of places in drafts. They've done hundreds and thousands of drafts, which, if you think about it, that is a ridiculous, ridiculous number. They have done a ton of them. Okay, so let me go through and send this link out in the live chat. It's just going to say $10 draft here, and then you're going to see the hyperlink. Click that link, and then you can come out. And it's going to be for everybody who used promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. And Dick Weber coming out with the donation says, will there be a start/sit stream before the game? I think that's what we're going to do right now. I mean, I'm going through, and I'm going to be just answering all questions as we stream. I mean, keep in mind, guys, that we're streaming until kickoff. Kickoff's not for another 3.5 hours. We've already been streaming for an hour. So if you have a question, stick around. I'm going to try to get to as many questions as I can in the live chat. Still a little sporadic because we've just had a ton of things changing. Now we're going to be drafting at the 106. So the 106, I mean, we feel comfortable. At the 106 is going to be a spot where you can more so just go through and take a best player available. Now, if we're going to be looking at the names in this draft, we have Monkfish. This is a new name. Pathogen. This is a new name. Resident. They've been in the draft before. Johnny 5. I probably don't know my number in room. I probably don't know what number that is. Probably just embarrass myself. Regardless, Johnny, don't know if they've been in a draft before. Brady Smith, don't know if they've been in a draft before. A Pail of Water, don't know if they've been in one. Flash Jumper, don't know if they've been in one. TK Birdie, they've been in one with us. Radley, Proto, they haven't. Card Muffin, that's a regular to the channel. X Dial, that's also a new person. I mean, like 10 of the spots in this draft are filled up from new members of the flock. So thank you everybody who's recently decided to use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. And to get into these drafts, I mean, we're going to continue to do so many of these throughout the entire season. I promise you that's going to be really fun because we're going to go through and do weekly drafts. So you're going to have a great idea of what we're doing in terms of players that I rank over another guy for week 1 in particular. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Okay, it's not too late to use promo code FLOCK in Underdog Fantasy, so make sure you go check the description of the video. You can find that there. CMC goes at the 101, Pathogen on the clock at the 102. So here's my guess on what we're going to happen. CMC, Dalvin, Alvin Kamara. Then we'll go Ezekiel Elliott, Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce. I'm calling Zeke at the 104. That's my feeling. Okay, we are 3 for 3 here. We got the easy ones right. Here. Rashad coming out with a donation says Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Antonio Gibson, Darrell Henderson. Who to start at running back 2 in the flex? Okay, obviously you have Darrell Henderson in a game where they're supposed to blow him out of the water. You have Antonio Gibson in a very tough matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. You have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in a game against the Cleveland Browns. But still, in my opinion, you have to go Antonio Gibson. You have to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, Darrell Henderson has the best matchup, but he's not close to them with just what you're actually going to have from the talent himself. So we're going to get Kelce. Kelce is going to be more appealing in this format than he would be in a regular league where we have access to the waiver wire and you submit your starting lineup weekly, because with a Travis Kelce at the 106, now this is a spot where we can go through and we can just continue to hammer receivers in the middle rounds, hammer running backs in the middle rounds. Make sure that we're soaking up on that value, and we don't necessarily have to be taking those tight ends in the range of a Gerald Everett. So yeah, we're going to take Travis Kelce. I think he gives us advantage from a roster construction standpoint. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to have to hide the notifications on here. We're going to hide the alert box on all of these different screens real quick, because we have too many people out in the live chat right now. We got too many people out here to continue to have these notifications going. Now, Just Sherman coming out with the donation says, when you're done streaming, please check my DM on Discord. Another league, I can grab Tyson Williams. It's fab, and I've never done that before waivers tonight. Okay, so I'm going to be live streaming until kickoff, so hopefully that'll be enough. Let me go through and let me just look at your DM right now. Okay, so if you're going to drop someone to pick up Tyson Williams, you're going to be dropping Ramondre Stevenson. If we're dropping Stevenson to pick up Williams, honestly, this is going to be a very shallow format. I'd probably go 25%, just because I really think that we want to be keeping our fab this year. I think that fab's going to be more important this year than ever, whenever we just have so many variables changing. I mean, look at the injuries that we have already had. And Noah coming out with a donation says, start to Tyson Williams with Raheem Mostert, Deontay Johnson. Okay, so Williams, I think you're starting both running backs. I mean, Deontay Johnson, obviously you're going to start over those guys damn near every single week this year, but Tyson Williams he's really the only running back left in Baltimore that's been there longer than a week. And with Raheem Mostert going up against the Detroit Lions, where you're going to have the 49ers as just the team smashing it, I think you have to go with the running backs, as gross as that sounds. Okay, so Nick Chubb at the 205. A pail of water goes Antonio Gibson. So we're just going to get Najee Harris, someone I haven't drafted a ton of, but I think he does fit the format. So let's switch that over. And we forgot to turn off the alert box for that one. So let's turn off that alert box. Okay, so let me see if we have anything else if we need to get to. Okay, I think we're done on that. Hey guys, make sure if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go down there, subscribe. I mean, we are going to be doing stuff like this every single day. Sign up for an Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. Y'all know how it is. I mean, we have been doing live streams every single day for like 5 weeks now. I've not missed a day of live streaming, and we're going to continue to do that throughout the entire season. Y'all do not know how the grind is out here. We're going to be grinding every single day. Nobody is working harder, and y'all saw this with us making videos and doing research every single day this entire offseason. Okay, so AJ Brown at the 210. Okay, so at this point, we're going to be probably trying to go receiver, receiver, receiver in the middle rounds. I don't necessarily think that we can do anything else. We're going to have to go receiver, receiver, receiver. Joe Mixon goes at the 211. George Kittle at the 212. Nash saying battle royales are insta-filling. Yeah, guys, we're going to get, I know a lot of people want us to do battle royales on Underdog, and I promise you, we're going to get in a million of those, and y'all are going to be able to get into a ton of those with us throughout the entire year. They do battle royales every single week. Thing is, we're not going to do any before the games today because this is our last chance to do these full drafts. And while I really have the itch to go and get some battle royales going, and it's going to be a lot of fun this year, I would be hating myself in a couple weeks if I'm looking back and we're doing a battle royales for like the 15th day in a row, and I'm sitting here going, oh, remember whenever we had the option to draft just entire drafts going 18 rounds? So yeah, we have to make sure that we're taking advantage of this while we have it. And Tristan coming out with a donation, thank you, says, start one, Tyson Williams, Myles Gaskin, Damian Harris. Okay, there it's going to be down between Tyson Williams and Damian Harris for us. Harris just has a good matchup against Miami, and I'm also expecting Ramondre Stevenson to have just a smaller role on the offense to start the year, and Damian Harris is going to be that lead back. I'm not loving Harris for the rest of the season because we could see Stevenson's role expanding. But I think we go Tyson Williams. Maybe I'm overreacting to this, guys, but we know that Baltimore is going to run the ball. We know that this is going to be a team that's supposed to be leading here regardless. So we're going to go Tyson Williams, and it's so risky because you know the running back that Damian Harris is, and we have no idea who Tyson Williams is. I mean, this is a name that I literally hadn't heard of until the J.K. Dobbins injury. I had not heard his name until the J.K. Dobbins injury. Now we're going to go Terry McLaurin as our wide receiver 1 here. With Terry McLaurin, I have been adamant. I have been screaming the entire offseason that Terry McLaurin was a horrendous pick when he was going before Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson, and CeeDee Lamb because we were seeing that consistently. Well, now when you have Curtis Samuel suffering another setback to that injury, and all of a sudden we're going, okay, well, if Curtis Samuel, who nobody expected to be injured to start the year, is not going to be healthy week 1, Terry McLaurin is definitely someone we have to raise up our rankings to the point where now I may be drafting Terry McLaurin over Allen Robinson, and I have made 50 videos, and that's an understatement, on how many videos I have made talking about why Terry McLaurin is a bad pick to go before Allen Robinson. But at this point, with the Curtis Samuel injury, Terry McLaurin at the 306, may I say this is fantastic value, even though, trust me, it hurts me to say that. Let me see how many leagues I've actually drafted Terry McLaurin in. So in the $250 leagues, I've drafted Terry McLaurin in 3 of them. In the regular leagues that are not $250, these are like $5, $10, $50, $100 buy-ins. We have drafted Terry McLaurin in 7.6. Okay, so we're actually about average on Terry McLaurin, so it's not like we're at a massive deficit. Definitely below average, but it's not like we were sitting here with 1 or 2% of them. Okay, so now we have this small wide receiver run happening here. You have Carv Muvin going with a very familiar start to them, grabbing that elite level tight end and getting a lot of wide receivers early. Tyler Lockett is more appealing in this format because it's going to be a best ball format where you don't submit your starting lineup every single week. Instead, the highest available score goes into your lineup at the end of the week. So, I mean, Tyler Lockett is going to see those random spikes, and you're not going to have to predict it in this format. Now, a pail of water on the clock. They've yet to go with a wide receiver. So let's see what they do. Maybe they go, F it, let's take Kyle Pitts. You know, I'm selfishly hoping they're doing that. They go DJ Moore. They get the guy that we were looking at. So now I know Deontay Johnson's supposed to be the best player available. Personally, I'm not going in the route of Deontay Johnson. Instead, I like my guy in T. Higgins. We've been higher than consensus on T. Higgins all offseason now, especially when he was going beyond this, whenever he was going after Jamar Chase, which was the craziest thing ever. But now T. Higgins at the 407. I know it's a higher price than you've ever had to pay, but I'm still completely fine with it. I think this is going to be an offense that has a surprising amount of volume. And at the same time, I mean, T. Higgins is just going to be the wide receiver 1 there. He was very good his rookie season when Joe Burrow was healthy. Now, Hayden says, start 2, T. Higgins, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Tyson Williams. Okay, T. Higgins is 100% starting for us here. And between David Montgomery has a very tough matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. Miles Sanders, of course, going up against the Falcons. I think that's going to be a fine spot. I feel like I'm overreacting, guys. I am so out of my element making start-sit decisions. We'll get used to this, and we'll be down to a T whenever we have data coming in by the time we get to week 3. But for week 1, it's by far and away the hardest time to make these decisions, especially when we have very limited data. Tyson Williams here. I think we probably want to go Myles Gaskin. I'm sorry, not Myles Gaskin, Miles Sanders. Yeah, I think we want to go Miles Sanders. let's go with Miles Sanders over Tyson Williams. It's close, and literally, if you ask me that question 15 minutes from now, I could end up changing my mind, to be completely honest. No Chill Bill coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, I have Mixon, Davis, Swift, and Williams on the bench. I'm on the fence to throw in Williams, but in light of the injuries, I may pull the trigger. Who knows? Okay, so when you have Joe Mixon, Mike Davis, DeAndre Swift, I will say I'm probably starting Williams over Swift this week. Swift is supposed to get in a game where he is getting boat raced by the 49ers. That game is not supposed to be close, and he is just now a full-time participant. I'm not necessarily a massive fan of that. So let me switch this over. At the 506, Lamar Jackson, I think we have to bump Lamar Jackson down slightly. We can't take a tight end whenever we do have Travis Kelce. So we want to grab another running back here. I think we're going to grab Josh Jacobs. So if we were playing in a league where we had access to the fantasy football playoffs, then maybe Javonte Williams is intriguing. But let's go Josh Jacobs instead as our running back too. Let's go through, answer these questions. Dick says, 10-man full PPR, sent a Discord message if you could help me on my lineup. I only trust your advice. I won 250 from my friends. Love you, big bro. No, my man. Thank you so much, of course, for all the support. Let me pull up Discord real quick. Grab your message. Okay, so for this lineup, right now you have Justin Herbert, James Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Robert Woods, Robbie Anderson, Travis Kelce, Deontay Johnson in. If we're going down to the bench, the most appealing guy to put in the starting lineup from the bench would be Antonio Brown. So the question is, do we prefer having Antonio Brown over Deontay Johnson? Which I do. I think that we want to switch Antonio Brown and Deontay Johnson. Put AB in there. Put AB in there, my man. I mean, going up against Dallas, we're going to be expecting Tampa to just drop a ridiculous amount of points. And I'll also say I was running through downtown earlier in Tampa, and I'm honestly excited. I've said this a million times before, but y'all know I have not rooted for an NFL team in I don't know how long now. And I mean, I've never really been a fan, but I think at this point, we have to look at it and say, well, I mean, wouldn't it make sense for me to root for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? This is a spot where we're looking at Tampa and going, if they do well, the city's going to be partying. The city was already essentially partying just because we have kickoff today, Tampa against the Cowboys. I'm honestly excited. I'm honestly excited. We're going to be rooting for Tampa. Go with Antonio Brown. Now, after this, we have Connor coming out with a donation. Says, do I start Allen Robinson or Kareem Hunt my flex? Obviously, you have Allen Robinson going up against Jalen Ramsey, which is going to be a little concerning. You said worried about the matchup versus Ramsey. Plus, the Browns could be playing from behind, so Hunt could be used more. I understand the thought process, but no, you have to be going Allen Robinson. Trust me. I mean, if you look at my rankings video this week, you're going to see a lot of people giving me hate for ranking Allen Robinson so low, but still, you have to go Allen Robinson. Okay, so now Odell Beckham Jr. goes at the 512. Joe says, I never been a fan of Tom Brady, but I'm rooting for Tampa since I'm an Eagles fan. Okay, so I guess, okay, so you're an Eagles fan wanting to go up against Dallas. Yeah, I'll say that I was of the opinion before this year that Peyton Manning was probably the GOAT. I thought that Peyton was one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time, if not the most. And of course, after last year, after Tom Brady wins it in Tampa, you have to change your mind. You just have to roll over and admit that Tom Brady is the best to ever do it. Okay, so now LaVisca at the 603. And I don't want to root for Brady, but I want to root for the team that's in this city. I've never lived in a city that has an NFL team before. So selfishly, I just want to go out there and root for them. So I'm going to be probably rooting for Tampa tonight. I'm going to be rooting for Tampa throughout the entire year. So I know moving from Texas, I'm probably a traitor to go against the boys, but it is what it is. I never really rooted for the Cowboys. And then, okay, so on our team so far, we took Kelce in the first. We got Najee Harris in the second. We got Terry McLaurin in the third, T. Higgins in the fourth, and Josh Jacobs in the fifth. So maybe this Josh Jacobs selection wasn't that exciting because we're going running back here. I hate to tell everyone this, but I mean, you're looking at the tier of Javonte Williams, Mike Davis, Darrell Henderson, Damian Harris, Myles Gaskin, Trey Sermon, all available. So yeah, we're going to have to draft a running back. A Pail of Water has Mahomes, Henry, Antonio Gibson, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy so far. They go Darrell Henderson. Okay, so we're going to go Javonte Williams. Yeah, Javonte Williams at the 607 is a clear pick for us. Hopefully we get a wide receiver that we like, making it back to us in the 7th round. But seeing Javonte Williams fall to the 607, that's honestly it's going to make us pretty excited. I mean, looking back, maybe we should have passed on Harris to grab a DK Metcalf instead in the 2nd. And we could even look at another running back value in the 7th round. It's going to be really hard to look at going with a 4th running back, however, whenever we already have this trio. Now we have a couple donations coming out from Melevant says, what do you think of Devontae Freeman to the Ravens? I think Freeman is a very limited player at this point in his NFL career. I also think that this most likely shields Tyson Williams from seeing Melvin Gordon get traded. Well, it doesn't necessarily shield him from it. There's still a possibility. It makes it less likely that you're going to see a trade for a veteran that can actually come in and be productive. So Freeman going to the Ravens, I don't think it affects that many things whatsoever. I honestly don't. Maybe it muddies the backfields. It's harder to figure out who we're going to be starting by the time we get to like week 3 or week 4. But I think it pretty much like serves as a human meat shield for what you're actually going to have with Tyson Williams and Le'Veon Bell. Now, Antok says, start 2 PPR, DeAndre Swift, Tyson Williams, Elijah Moore, Javonte Williams, Michael Gallup. Very easy for us here. We're going to go Tyson Williams and DeAndre Swift. I think near the end of the season, you're going to be starting Elijah Moore and Javonte Williams. But at this point, they're just not going to have the guaranteed roles on their offenses where we're going to be able to feel comfortable starting them week 1. Love the players. Can't start them week 1, though. Go Tyson Williams and DeAndre Swift. Okay, so now we have Juju Smith-Schuster at the 612. We got a couple wide receivers going off here, which, of course, is not good for us to see. We want to see these running backs get drafted. I mean, it was nice to see Gaskin, Damian Harris go with the 608 and the 609. Okay, Sermon off the board at the 701. Okay, so that's going to be perfect for us here. Get these running backs off. Like, we really can't take Trey Sermon on this team when we already took Javonte in the 6th. Jay says he doesn't think Lamar Jackson's going to be affected. I don't know about Lamar, guys. It's tough to say that just because I think if you have an injury to both J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards and you're looking at this running back situation now, you have to assume it affects the efficiency of the offense. You have to assume that. It's going to affect them where they're picking up less first downs. It's going to affect them where they're getting less trips to the red zone. Yes, they may be a little more pass happy, but we're not drafting Lamar Jackson for the passing volume. Chase Edmonds at the 704. Now, Brady Smith goes Tyler Boyd. That was kind of a clear pick. He had already drafted 4 running backs. Okay. I think we go Kenny Golladay. Golladay was someone I was screaming was being overdrafted a while ago, but getting Kenny Golladay here at the 706, we're taking him above guys like Michael Pittman, Marquez Callaway. It's going to be fine. Let's take Golladay at the 706. You see Pittman going directly after. And Xavier comes out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, bench Allen Robinson for Julio Jones and flex Raheem Mostert or Darrell Henderson. Yes, 100% go through and start Julio Jones over Allen Robinson, considering Allen Robinson is going up against Ramsey. I believe Julio is playing in a game that could lead to a shootout. And between flexing Raheem Mostert or Darrell Henderson, that's going to be tough because both running backs have good matchups. However, I think as of now, before we see Trey Sermon expand his role in this offense, which should happen later in the season, I'm actually probably going to go with, I hate to say it, I think we go with Mostert, don't we? It's close. It's not something that I just feel 100% confident in. I think we probably go Mostert at this point. We probably go with the Raheem Mostert. Okay, so Logan Thomas at the 709. Marquez Callaway at the 710. So we want to see those tight ends get drafted whenever we have Kelsey on this team. Yeah, going back to that previous question, we're going to go with Raheem Mostert over Darrell Henderson. It's close. It's hard for me to give you a concrete answer, but I think we can. Michael Gallup at the 711. And also, guys, if you have yet to go down there and subscribe to this channel, make sure you subscribe. We're going to be making videos every single day. We're going to be live streaming after the game tonight as well to go through and answer more start-sit questions. We're going to get some more fun drafts going on Underdog Fantasy. So, of course, guys, make sure you go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Nothing helps this channel more when you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, which is where we're drafting now. And they're going to be doing drafts during the season, weekly drafts. So like we're going to be able to draft teams for week 1 to go up against your teams. And we're going to have our own week 1 league. And it's just going to be that 1 week. It's going to be really exciting. We're going to be able to get a lot of stuff going. So go use promo code FLOCK, make a $10 deposit, get $25 added to your account. Get our 2021 rankings, get our 2021 draft guide, get in the opportunity to come out in a live stream and get in the draft with us. We've done these drafts every single day for the past 5 weeks on live streams. So there have been a million chances for you to get into a draft already. If you, for whatever reason, haven't been able to, still, it's not too late. We're going to be doing it every single week, all 17 weeks this NFL season. So make sure you go through, take advantage of that, my friends. And let's pull this up. Gus Edwards. I wish Underdog would just remove Gus Edwards. That would help us out a ton. Now we're going to be going QB and receiver. We can't take a tight end whenever we do have Travis Kelce. Running backs in this range, not too interested in them. Now, I know that we don't have a stack, and usually we want to be waiting for quarterbacks in this range for whenever we have a stack on the team, but Justin Herbert's just too good a value to pass up on here. We're going to be getting him at pick 91 at the 807. So let me go through and show off this team. We have a couple donations coming out. Of course, thank you so much. We'll scroll this down just a little bit. And we have Caden coming out with the donation, says, before the season starts, remember I said the Chargers are Super Bowl champs and Josh Palmer is a 5th round pick. Okay, so Caden. Obviously, guys, if y'all don't know who Caden is, Caden has made it out in a million drafts with us so far over the past month. So, of course, Caden, thank you for coming out to all the live streams. Thank you for supporting the show on Patreon. Thank you for being a part of the flock. And are you saying Josh Palmer is a 5th round pick in next year's drafts? Because obviously it's bold, but I think that I'm not going to predict it. I could see it actually happening, though, given the fact that Mike Williams is playing the last year of his contract and Josh Palmer was drafted more so as a replacement. So if you're right about that offense just exploding, I think it's in the range of outcomes. It's in the range. Actually, no, it probably wouldn't be just because how running backs are going to push it down. I think there's like a 0% chance he's a 5th round pick. I think he could easily be like a 7th, 8th round pick, though. And Connor coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, love the draft guide. Have you ever considered a section on stacks, a best/worst value to the stacks, and maybe a rankings stacks based on value? Just a thought. Thanks. Thank you, my man, so much for that. That comment. And I know we have gotten a million people reaching out to me and telling me how much they love that 2021 draft guide, which you can get right now by just making a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy. Hundreds of pages. And please do it, guys. What I need from you is when you read that draft guide, do exactly what Connor just did. I know we've had a lot of people reaching out telling me how much they enjoyed it. While I love those messages, what helps me out so much more, because keep in mind, this is our first ever draft guide, and I promise you the one next year is going to be just 10 million times better. I am so proud of the one that we have this season, but the one next year, we're going to have like tabs where you can go back and forth. It's going to be most likely through an app. It's going to have so many more additional things. I want to have by far and away the best draft guide that you can find on YouTube. That's my goal. So what I need from y'all is, since this is my first one, please go and give me some constructive criticism. The email that you got the draft guide from, please go reply to that email and tell me a way that I can improve it. Tell me something that I can add to that draft guide, because I promise you, your opinion means so much to me. If I'm going to try to improve that draft guide for next year, I need to know exactly how y'all want me to improve it, because the draft guide's for y'all. So please make sure you go and do that ASAP. Now I'm going to see if we have anything else out here. Yeah, please, guys, of course, go use promo code FLOCK and Underdog Fantasy first. Make that $10 deposit, $25 added to your account. Get our rankings, get our tiers, get our draft guide. Come out and do a million drafts with us this upcoming season. But most importantly, give me some constructive criticism and go to reply to that email that you got sent the draft guide to and let me know how I can improve it, because your constructive criticism is what's going to allow that draft guide to significantly improve this upcoming season. Yeah, we're going to get Marvin Jones at the 906. I would prefer Rondale Moore. I'd prefer Elijah Moore in leagues that had the fantasy football playoffs, but this league is just who can score the most points throughout the entire season. I think Marvin Jones is going to have a much larger role, at least for the first month or so. So I think it's going to be a safer option to take. Tyson Williams goes at the 9-11 here. We actually took him in the 11th round in the last draft. Le'Veon Bell in the last draft went before Tyson Williams. So now, I guess we're seeing this change up just slightly. I prefer Williams over Le'Veon, to be completely transparent. I think his running style is going to match better with what you have from Lamar Jackson. So yeah, I prefer Tyson Williams over the 29-year-old Le'Veon Bell. And let's see where Bell goes. Leighton, my man, please stop spamming the chat. Obviously, I know that you are a massive fan of the channel. I know that you were out in the streams a lot last year. I'm going to have to mute you just for a second, though, just for 5 minutes, because, that is spamming it where I'm trying to read the chat, and all I'm seeing is a bunch of emojis in it. Okay, let's pull this back up. We're in a spot where now that we have the elite quarterback, we have the elite tight end. We have Kelce on this build. We can go and take either a running back or a receiver here. We could go quarterback, but I know there are great values according to ADP. But when we get Herbert in the last round, I think it's going to make a lot more sense for us to take a running back or a receiver here. So let's kind of load this up. Let's load this up right now. So we're probably only going to be drafting 5 running backs in this build when we have Harris, Jacobs, Javonte. Connor goes at the 10:05. And Nick coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man, says PPR Dynasty, Calvin Ridley or T. Higgins and Travis Etienne. Oh, that is a brutal question. I mean, you're just jabbing me there with how many leagues you know we have Travis Etienne in. Oh, this is tough. We're going to go Jamal Williams as our running back 4. But yeah, there I actually think that it sucks. Like, I hate to give you this just cop-out answer, but this is one thing about Dynasty is obviously we need to know your team situation. I think that's a fair trade. I think it's a fair trade, and it really just comes down to, are you a contender or are you a rebuilder? So if you're a contender, go Calvin Ridley. I can guarantee you that the majority of people in this live chat right now are going to have that redraft mindset on here, so they're just going to tell you to go with Ridley. But if you're a rebuilding team, I'd be completely fine taking T. Higgins and Travis Etienne. Okay, so Jayan says he got Amari Cooper at the 312 in his underdog draft. That's crazy. Guys, let me know, because I'd imagine that underdog drafts today are honestly probably a lot easier than they were a couple of weeks ago, because a couple of weeks ago when we were drafting, we were going up against the diehards. Now, I think a lot of people in those underdog drafts are probably more casual players. So let me know if you've had any crazy values on underdog. Let me know if you've had any crazy values. Lucas says, Mason, do the Thursday special draft. We'll go. I don't know if we're going to do that, guys. We're going to get a million drafts like that from Underdog Fantasy throughout the entire year. But this is our last chance to get these drafts. This is our last chance to go through and get these full season drafts in. So we're going to do a lot of weekly drafts throughout the entire season. However, I think that we want to go through and we want to try to get in as many of these as we can while they're still around, because we're not going to be able to go through and get that many out after this. Okay, so we have Brian Edwards, Emmanuel Sanders. Okay, so it looks like our selection of taking Jamal Williams over Henry Ruggs was probably a pretty bad one now that we look at the wide receivers that are going off the board here. I mean, with the wide receivers that are going off the board, this is going to put us at a very difficult spot where we're not going to get that much value that we're excited about in the 11th. We're maybe going to have to take another running back here. We're probably going to go 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 9 receivers, and 2 tight ends. But like the running backs we're going to be looking at here, like if we pull this up right now, we can get Gus Edwards at this pick. We can get Gus freaking Edwards at the 1106. You haven't been able to get that value since you had the injury to J.K. Dobbins. So we're probably going to lock in Gus Edwards. Of course, we're not doing that, but who can we really take? Because wide receiver, I can't take Gabriel Davis here. I can't do it. I know wide receiver is going to be best for this team. We're going to take another running back. Let's take Kenyon Drake as our running back 5, and we're going to be done at running back after this. So at this point, we're really hoping that we see some of these running backs start to get drafted. That Henry Ruggs selection was definitely going to be the better choice here at the 10:07. Now that we see what happens here, I completely misread the room on what we were going to have after that. I'm imagining that we're going to have a lot of running backs going off just because they're the best value available. Hopefully we also get a Jonnu Smith off the board and such as well. But it's just, I know I need a wide receiver at that pick. I can't bring myself to take Gabriel Davis. I can't take Gabriel Davis there. There's no value with that selection whatsoever. So let's switch this back over. We have a couple donations coming out. Thank you. And this first one's from Colin, who says 1 running back in a flex, Swift, Sanders, Chenault, and Tyson Williams. Okay, so I think that we're most likely going to go with Miles Sanders and Tyson Williams there, to be honest. I mean, Williams, maybe I'm going to get burnt by telling so many people to go through and put him in their starting lineup. But yeah, we're going to go Tyson Williams with one of those picks. And then Rashad coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man, says trade Henderson for Ayuk to the Gus Edwards owner. My running backs are Mixon, Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, A.J. Dillon, Javonte Williams. My wide receivers are Adams, Julio, Galladay, and DJ Moore. If you're playing in a league that shallow, wide receiver depth is always going to be so easy to come by that I think you can actually charge a little bit more. What I would be looking to do is, instead of trading a running back for a receiver straight up, is I'd be trying to package together Darrell Henderson and Kenny Galladay and try to get the highest wide receiver in return. Like if he has an elite wide receiver like a Justin Jefferson or something like that, try to trade in a package Kenny Galladay and Darrell Henderson for the best wide receiver he has. Okay, Pitcher Rendon coming out with a donation. Thank you, says, start 2 non-PPR, A-Rob, Amari Cooper, Adam Thielen, Brandon Ayuk, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Gallup, Corey Davis. Much love, my guy. No, man, thank you so much for supporting the channel. And here I actually think that we are going to be going with Amari Cooper easily as one of these starters. I know Vegas is saying that the Dallas Cowboys aren't going to be putting up that many points against Tampa. I have a hard time believing that. I actually think this game is going to be a little more high scoring than most people are assuming, and it's going to be a little closer than most people are assuming as well. And then beyond Amari Cooper, between Allen Robinson, Adam Thielen, Brandon Ayuk, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Gallup, and in non-PPR format, we do have to be giving a bump up to Adam Thielen because we know Thielen has the majority of his production regardless, just from what he's getting in the red zone with the touchdowns. So yeah, we're going to go Adam Thielen because it's non-PPR. Now, when we're back on the clock, I mean, we are desperate at wide receiver where we only have McLaurin, Higgins, Golladay, and Marvin Jones. So we're just going to have to bring in a wide receiver that's going to get targeted heavily in his offense. It's going to be Nelson Aguilar. Hopefully he slides in as our wide receiver 3 some weeks, considering this is a best ball format. I think Nelson Aguilar could be a fine selection. We drafted here at the 106 for anybody who wants to come out and check out what we have done so far. Let me slide down just a little bit as well. Yeah, okay. So I think everybody has had a good shot to see what we are doing. Let's put that back on. Now we're going to have some more wide receivers. You got Amara St. Brown, who obviously gets a bump up with no Brashad Perriman in town, going off right after us. Jalen Reagor at the 12-10. So then we have some more donations to get to. We have one coming out from Blue Line. Thank you. And it says, Brady or Zach Wilson week 1. Oh, I'm sorry, Russell Wilson week 1. Keep up God's work, my guy. No, man, thank you so much, of course, for coming out, hanging out with us in the live chat. And here, definitely go with Tom Brady. Guys, Tom Brady's a must-start quarterback this week. He's going up against Dallas. This is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And we actually have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the highest implied team total by Las Vegas right now. They have the highest implied team total, so you have to be going with Brady. And Nick says, I need to stream a DFS for this week. Choices are Colts, Falcons, Giants, Vikings, Chiefs, and Titans. So you have the Colts against Seattle, the Falcons against Philadelphia, the Giants against Denver, the Vikings against the Browns. The Browns may be an intriguing matchup to go up against. Chiefs, no. Titans, honestly, no. So it's going to be down between the Falcons and the Vikings for me. I actually think that you're probably going to want to go with the Vikings this week. I mean, we know the strength of that Vikings defense is actually the defensive line. And right now, you do have it where the Bengals are a team that I like this season, but they're probably going to start off a little slower whenever you are having Jamar Chase having to come back up to speed. So I'm probably going to be going with the team in the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Cincinnati Bengals right now. So we can't look at running back. We are exclusively quarterback, receiver, and tight end. And when we have Travis Kelce, I'm honestly not even wanting to look at tight ends here. So we're going to be quarterback and receiver. So let's see what Brady Smith ends up doing. He has 2 quarterbacks in Tannehill and Fields. He goes Paris Campbell, so he takes the guy right away from us that we wanted. It sucks. Matt Ryan is definitely the best value available. We're going to go Matt Ryan. I think we just have to. I think we have to take Ryan there. Teams at some point are going to have to stop drafting receivers, and I think we're going to get some guys that we can feel comfortable about rostering. We only have to take 2 tight ends. We only have to take 2 quarterbacks, and then we're going to only take 5 running backs so we can load up on a lot of wide receivers after that. So we're going to take Matt Ryan. Keep in mind, this is a league where we do not have access to the waiver wire, so we are having to go through and roster 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends. If you're playing in a league where you have the waiver wire, of course, you only want 1 of each position. Okay, AJ Green at the 1308. That would have been one of the wide receivers that we were looking at. So, of course, that is not that fun to see. Nick coming out with the donation says, start Brandon Cooks or Corey Davis in a PPR format. There, I'm probably going to go Brandon Cooks over Corey Davis. I mean, Cooks going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars is going to be a nice matchup. And at the same time with a Brandon Cooks, I mean, we just know he's going to be the wide receiver 1 on his team. With Corey Davis, we don't necessarily know that for sure. I know he was targeted at a heavy rate in the preseason, but I think we would rather at least see how he's going to be implemented in that offense first. James White at the 1310. Great value on James White. Getting him a full round behind J.D. McKissick. Getting him multiple rounds behind Ramondre Stevenson. Great value on James White there at the 1310. So hopefully we get some quarterbacks. Hopefully we get some tight ends and running backs going. We just need wide receiver to fall to us. And we're going to get another draft going after this for anybody who used promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Do not worry whatsoever. I promise you're going to have a million chances to get in these drafts. So we're going to continue to do drafts all the way up until kickoff, where hopefully when we're in some of these later drafts, actually right after this, I'll go through and I'll start reading a lot more of those general chat start set questions, because I want to get to as many of your start set questions as possible. Okay, so we get Alexander Madison, Giovanni Bernard going. Good value on both running backs. Definitely helps us out at the same time. So it's a win-win-win for everybody there. Okay, so Hunter Henry at the 1405. Let's pull this up. And oh my gosh, guys, you're just seeing quarterback, tight end, quarterback, tight end. We're probably having to go Cole Kmet. We do have Kelsey on this team, though. Crowder goes to the 1406. We can't go Kmet. I mean, there are just so many tight ends that we're going to be looking at in the same range. We have to start grabbing these wide receivers. So let's take Randall Cobb here at the 1407. And we are put into a very difficult position. This is going to be a tough draft, my friends. It's going to be a tough draft. Let's go through and show off this room really quick. Let's move this down as well. Okay, yeah, so that is Latavius Murray going at the 1408. So I'm assuming Brady here has a hunch Latavius going over to Baltimore. I think that Latavius going over to Baltimore definitely was my initial reaction. But when they signed Freeman, I think the chances of that happening, I mean, they have to go down, right? The chances are definitely going to be lower that you actually get Latavius Murray in Baltimore. So at the 1408, I think it's probably a little rich. I probably would prefer some of the other running backs in that range. Just spilling water all over myself here. And we have a donation coming out again from Nick, probably his fourth donation of the live stream. Says, this is nasty, but my running back 2 was Travis Etienne. My running back 1 is CMC. Do I need to fill in this running back 2 spot? My choices are Boston Scott or Damian Williams. LOL. That is, you're right. That's the best way to describe that. That is disgusting. I think we're probably going to go with Damian Williams there. Actually, no, let's go Boston Scott. I'm just thinking here that we've already seen exactly the role that we're going to have from Boston Scott in Philadelphia. However, I do think that you have the Chicago Bears trailing to the Los Angeles Rams the majority of this game. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. I mean, you're getting positives on both guys. That Boston Scott is more of a guarantee on what we're going to get. Damian Williams, he has a more guaranteed chance to have the game script go his way because we know that he's going to be the passing down running back in Chicago. At least we're hoping he's going to be the passing down running back in Chicago. It's a very tough question, I think we go Boston Scott. Okay, so now let me go through and try to read some of these start sit questions that we're getting in the live chat. First one we have is from Nick, who says, start DJ Moore, Mike Davis, Tyson Williams, or Chris Carson at the flex in a PPR format. Here, my man, I think you have to go DJ Moore. I mean, with DJ Moore here, he is going up against the New York Jets, and with Moore, he's someone that I think we're just going to have a large role at the beginning of the season when you are looking at it as a fact that, I mean, Terrace Marshall is going to be brought on slowly. So we're going to go with DJ Moore there. With our selection between Josh Palmer and Christian Kirk, if we were playing in a league that had the playoffs, possibly we'd go with Josh Palmer. But when we don't have the playoffs and we're just looking for points the entire season, we're going to go Kirk. Yes, it's concerning. The Rondell Moore looks like he has locked up duties as the slot wide receiver there. But still, let's go through and show off this team. We definitely made a mistake passing on too many receivers earlier on. I think you take off Harris on this team and you give us DK Metcalf. This is a monster right here. Let's scroll this down. You get Josh Palmer going directly after, Austin Hooper, Ty Johnson. Now switch over, read some more start sit questions. Michael says, Mason, do I start Callaway or Kareem Hunt this week? Go Marquez Callaway. I mean, you are going to have it as a situation where this is going to be a team that puts up a lot of points. Jameis Winston going to be starting for at least week 1, should have a lot of passing volume. And I just think that's going to be the better play. And then now we have Eddie Merrill says Devonta Smith or Antonio Brown for a PPR format. And then says, do I drop Colby, Tyrell Williams for Antonio Brown? Yes. Go drop Tyrell Williams for Antonio Brown and play Antonio Brown over Devonta Smith. Go go play Antonio Brown right now. Matthew coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says Singletary and Robinson for Joe Mixon is a no-brainer. Kind of went 0 running back and don't want to start Javonte week 1. By the way, Mason's basement secret. All jokes, LOL. Okay, that's pretty funny, my man. And here we say, okay, so Singletary and Robinson for Joe Mixon is a no-brainer. Yeah, so yeah, go get Joe Mixon there. I don't care if that's James Robinson or Allen Robinson. It's the same sentiment regardless. Joe Mixon's going to be a player with a lot more value. Okay, so let me switch this over really quick. We're done at quarterback. And we're done at running back. We're exclusively a receiver and tight end from here on out. Melvin with a donation. Thank you. Says flex Josh Jacobs or Brandon Cooks PPR. Go Josh Jacobs. Don't like the matchup for Josh Jacobs. It's actually a little better now that it looks like Baltimore is going to be a team that can't just lean on the run as much as they would have before. So yeah, go Josh Jacobs. Raheel coming out with a donation says, should I pick up Tyson but drop Sony, Ruggs, or AJ Dillon? If you're playing in a shallow redraft format, what I would most likely do is drop Henry Ruggs for Tyson Williams. Then we can actually see the role that we get from those 3 running backs this upcoming week. We can potentially try to sell one, then pick back up a waiver wire wide receiver the following week. But yes, you have to at least pick up Tyson Williams to see what we have in week 1 because we're going to know that answer very quickly. So go pick up Tyson Williams and drop Henry Ruggs. Okay, so you get Fitzmagic, get Byron Pringle. Okay, Radley Proto ends up auto-drafting Gus Edwards at the 1603. Okay, so that's looking like just a donation to the league pot, and it's going to be very easy to take in Zach Ertz when we have Travis Kelce. I mean, a perfect pairing. We're getting him in the 16th round. So now from here, what we're probably going to do is let's get another $10 draft going. I mean, y'all have all seen enough of that one right there. So we get another $10 draft going in the chat. Let me just go through and queue up a lot of wide receivers. That way we can make sure that we're not going to be auto-drafting the wrong position. And then I'm going to send out a $10 draft link in the live chat right now. It's just going to say $10 draft here. You'll see a link. It's going to be a private draft for everybody who used promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Let me back out of this one right here, and we'll get that going. Okay, grabbing that link. And we have a couple more donations I'm going to get to, but first let me get this link out. And guys, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about with Underdog Fantasy, where we are drafting, I mean, we have drafted here every single day for the past 5-6 weeks now. I mean, by far and away, my favorite place to do really all things fantasy football. And they're going to be doing a million drafts during the season as well, like weekly drafts where you're only drafting for week 1, only drafting for week 2. Now, this draft's going to be the entire season draft, but today's going to be the last day that we can actually go out there and do these. However, we're going to get a lot of those weekly drafts going later on. So make sure you go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. When you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, you're about to see what a draft actually looks like, and you make a $10 deposit. You get $25 added to your account. You get our 2021 draft guide, our 2021 rankings, our tiers, our dynasty rookie draft guide. It's literally like a $100 value if you consider the $25 added to your account at the same time for a $10 deposit. And it helps out this channel a ton. Helps out the channel a ton. Okay, so let's go and send this out. And I see Radley Proto in the chat says, I clicked my pick with 6 seconds left. FML, Gus Edwards. Yeah, I'm sorry to see that, my man. I'm sorry to see that. Okay, so I just sent that out. Raheel coming out with a donation says, should I pick up Tyson Williams but drop? Okay, we already answered that one. Nick says Russell Gage or Marquez Callaway in a PPR format. That is, Nick, I hate to give you this answer. I really hate to. I could go back and forth on that all day. Like, right now, I will tell you, go Marquez Callaway, and I promise you, if I get that question asked to me again in 30 seconds, I could look at it and go Russell Gage. It's neck and neck for us right there. I'm really sorry about that. Casey says, did you see DeAndre Swift is being investigated into a murder? I think that's someone that was trolling. Like, I don't think that's a real thing, to be honest. Now, I could be wrong, so I don't want to speak on it too much, but I don't think that's a legit thing. Then after this, we have James says, need one for the flex. Corey Davis, Josh Jacobs, Marquez Callaway. There we're going to go Josh Jacobs. Even though I don't love Jacobs in this matchup, I think it's actually slightly better now that we do have him in a situation where Baltimore can't just run it over and over and over again. David says, start Ronald Jones or Melvin Gordon. There I actually probably want to be going Melvin Gordon just because we know that he's going to have that very large role on his offense while we're waiting for Javonte Williams to take over. If we knew Giovanni Bernard was going to be gone this week, then we would actually go Ronald Jones. But with Gio playing, we're going to go Melvin Gordon. And Nick coming out with the donation says, Mostert over DeAndre Swift because of the matchup Lions DST. Yes, you're going Raheem Mostert over DeAndre Swift. And also because Swift coming back from that injury. Love DeAndre Swift this upcoming season. Hate Raheem Mostert this upcoming season for what they should be doing during the fantasy football playoffs and down the stretch. But for week 1 in particular, you do need to be going through and getting Raheem Mostert. Daniel says the big dog might fill. Yes, I want to give just a big time congratulations to Underdog Fantasy themselves for filling Best Ball Mania. Best Ball Mania had hundreds of thousands of teams in it for filling the big dog draft. The big dog draft isn't officially filled, but there's a real possibility that it does. And also filling 2 full puppy drafts. Not sure if the puppy drafts are going to continue to go through and fill right now. Jared says, how do I use the promo code? Okay, so to use the promo code on Underdog Fantasy, all you have to do is go to the link in the description of the video, and all you have to do is make sure that you're clicking that, going to deposit, and then when you deposit, you'll have an option to use promo code FLOCK. But if you make sure you're going through the link in the description of the video, it should be able to automatically fill that in for you at the same time. Just make sure you're going through the link in the description. And James says, be cool chat, no spamming. Yeah, my man, I'll say we actually slowed down the chat to subscriber only, and it's just 1 message for every 10 seconds. So the chat's not spamming. It's just we got so many people in here right now. That's why I'm trying to answer all the questions I can, but it's happening a little slower. We're going to go with Ezekiel Elliott at the 107. Very rarely are you seeing Zeke at the 107. I actually have him ranked ahead of Derrick Henry this year for the role that he should have in the passing game. I will say Zeke's going to have a tough week 1, though. I mean, Zeke's going to have a very tough week 1. Tyreek Hill at the 108. Aaron Jones at the 109. Okay, so nothing really stands out that much for us here in terms of a player that we should be taking over another guy. So, I mean, there's very little to say. If y'all are unfamiliar with how fantasy drafts have gone so far this season, this is pretty much as standard as what it actually looks like for the first round. As soon as we see something that stands out, we get Mason's Basement Secret coming in here with us yet again. Mason's Basement Secret exposed himself that he has Matthew in the live chat. Intriguing that we were drafting right next to him now. I'm surprised that they still... Actually, we're not going to make that joke. Now that we know who it is, I can't make that joke. Again, Michael says, 2 for the flex, DJ Chark, Jamar Chase, Michael Gallup, and Hollywood Brown. DJ Chark's going to be really hard to play this week. I mean, all these guys are going to be hard to play this week. Both DJ Chark, Hollywood Brown, recovering from those injuries, not with their teams the majority of the preseason. Gallup in a very tough matchup. I mean, this is not the game that you want to be playing Michael Gallup in. Jamar Chase as a rookie. This is a tough question. I'll say we're probably going to go with Jamar Chase and DJ Chark. But those are players that I'm more excited about at the end of the season, not right now. Matt says, can anybody tell me how to claim Mason's guy to use code FLOCK already? Oh, my man, when you went to the description of the video to use promo code FLOCK, you should have seen it. All you have to do to get that guide, the $25 gets added to your account automatically. But to get the draft guide, all you have to do is send me a message literally anywhere. That can be Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Discord. I mean, you can even email the email that we have in the description of the video. And all you have to say is, Mason, you bum, I use promo code FLOCK in Underdog Fantasy. Get me the draft guide right now, and I will do that. No questions asked, ASAP. So please just send me that DM. And we're playing with fire here. We're having a very similar start to what we had in the last draft. The last draft, we went with Travis Kelce, then Najee Harris. In this draft, we're going to go with Ezekiel Elliott and Darren Waller. So yeah, we're grabbing that elite tight end. I think with that elite tight end, we're going to be in a spot where we can go through and we can make sure that we're just, in theory, avoiding the bad values at tight ends later on. I mean, the tight ends did fall in the last draft, so it ended up putting ourselves in a very bad spot at wide receiver. So we are kind of rolling the dice here, but we have new people in this draft. Can't necessarily say the exact same thing is going to happen. DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. Okay, so yeah, there's literally nothing that looks remotely weird with this so far. I mean, maybe the weirdest thing is us going Darren Waller at the 206. I'm sure that a lot of y'all are surprised at that. That's not a pick that we would have made before we had the injury to guys like Adam Troutman, Irv Smith Jr., but at this point, I mean, I think we kind of have to. Checking the chat right now. We have a donation coming out from Nick again, says Raheem Mostert or Chase Claypool in PPR format. Given the matchup, you have to go with Raheem Mostert. You have to go with Raheem Mostert over Chase Claypool. Lecco says, is this a $250 burger? No, this is not the big dog draft. This is a $10 draft. I'm trying to get in as many drafts with y'all as possible. So we're going through and we're churning these out like ASAP. And we're getting new people out to this draft again. So we have seen Pathogen. We have seen Henry Shavy. Both of them have been in these drafts. Ado GP, they have not been in a draft with us. A Jimmer Range, I don't think they've been in a draft with us. They've been in a draft with us. They've been in one. Mason's Basement Secret, of course, has been in a couple. Thowwow, this is a new person. Mr. Imp Slap, this is a new person. TK Birdie, they've been out in drafts with us. Caden, of course, is always out here. And Lean Robinson, another new member of the live stream. I mean, so thank you everybody who's used promo code FLOCK and coming out and getting these drafts. We're going to do so many of these throughout the entire season. I promise you that, guys. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun. Okay. So now when we're on the clock, we have no option. We're going wide receiver. We have no option. Like, it didn't matter if the receiver that we were looking at there was Mike Evans. We were having to take a wide receiver. And I just got some notifications that on Twitter, we are having a bunch of people follow us. And one of the guys has the CryptoPunk avatar. And we've gotten a lot of questions as of late about EFTs and stuff. If we have any EFTs, I'll say I do not have any. If anybody wants to send some over, by all means, I'd love some. I'd love some. If you want to gift one to the channel, I'd be happy to have one. Just can't go out there and buy it on my own. Cooper Kupp at the 309. Jim Range says he's been lurking for a while. Well, man, I'm happy to have you out in the chat. I'm happy to have you out in the chat and in a live stream. Mike Evans at the 311. Yeah, so if y'all don't know who Jimmer Range is, I mean, a massive YouTuber. So we got FaZe Scissors out here and Jimmer Range, a part of the flock. Thank you, my man. I'm happy to have you out here. I'm happy to have you. Okay, so DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett. Okay, come on. We don't want to be looking at like David Montgomery making it back to us in the fourth. I know a lot of people would be excited about that value, but it's going to, like, you saw the last draft with how quickly wide receivers dried up. Mahomes going at the 401. Interesting to see LeBron. I have no idea what his name's supposed to be there. Interesting to see them go with Mahomes at the 401. David Montgomery, James Robinson. Okay, thank God we're getting these running backs going off. We're getting these running backs going off so we can at least get a receiver that we want here. I mean, Higgins goes. So he's not the guy that I like, but we just have to get him regardless. I know a lot of people want us to go with a running back here. Trust me, I get it. But please just hear me out. Wait until at least round 12, and then you can come out and you can criticize me if you want. But Deontay Johnson of the 406, it's going to be a no-brainer for us here. I mean, we kind of need to get a wide receiver. I mean, the running backs that we have seen making it back to us in like the 6th and 7th rounds, the running backs in this range are great to the point where what I probably should have done is I think we prefer like Tyreek Hill and Chris Carson versus Ezekiel Elliott and Deontay Johnson. So that was probably a mistake. I think we should have gone with Tyreek in the 1st, and then we could have taken advantage of the Chris Carson value in the 4th. But when we go with Zeke in the 1st, we just can't do that from a roster construction standpoint. And Carlito coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, pick 2, Corey Davis, Brandon Cooks, Allen Robinson, Ronald Jones, and Sammy Watkins. Okay, so here between Corey Davis, Cooks, Allen Robinson, Ronald Jones, Sammy Watkins. Robinson, you have to start. I know it's a tough matchup against Jalen Ramsey, but you're still putting him in there regardless. I'm not considering Sammy Watkins. It really comes down to, do we want Corey Davis or Brandon Cooks here? And yeah, I mean, with Brandon Cooks, we do know the role he's going to have on the offense. He does have a nice matchup. Corey Davis, I prefer for the entire season. Let's go Corey Davis. We're going to go Corey Davis over Brandon Cooks. That one's going to be the closer decision between the two, but go with Corey Davis. And Nick coming out with literally maybe his 10th donation in the live stream says Teddy B or Tyrod, Darnold or Winston or Zach Wilson. Okay, so between Teddy Bridgewater or Tyrod Taylor, there we're going to go with Teddy Bridgewater against the New York Giants. Then Sam Darnold or Derek Carr. Then we're going to be going with Sam Darnold, honestly, quite easily, to be honest. And then Jameis Winston or Zach Wilson. There we're going to go Jameis Winston. Yeah, so literally the first quarterback in every question we're going to go with. And Mayhem says, I believe that's this name says, is Latavius Murray worth a roster spot? Not at this point. I mean, if Latavius Murray does get picked up by Baltimore, then yes. If we did not have Baltimore picking up Freeman, then yes, you could go out there and you could speculate and pick up Latavius Murray now. But at this point, I think it would be a little too hard to do that. And also, guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure you go down there, subscribe. We are going to be live streaming. We are going to be making videos and everything every single day. And we're going to get drafts going up until kickoff, or up until, these contests are going to be available. Maybe we have to end a little before kickoff here. Let's pull this back up. This range, we can't consider Andrews when we already have Darren Waller. I'm not taking a running back knowing the running backs that are making it back to us in the next round. So we're going to go Lamar Jackson here. Actually, I think Lamar you have to bump down a little bit now. We'll still take Lamar Jackson. I think you do have to bump him down just with the injuries that we have. Okay, thank God. Oh my gosh. I thought we were about to get auto-pick Gus Edwards. I really thought we were about to get auto-pick Gus Edwards. That would have been very scary. Mark Andrews goes directly after. Great value on Mark Andrews there. Fantastic value on Mark Andrews. And let's go to the general chat real quick. Try to find some more start-sit questions. Quentin says, Brandon Cooks, Laviska Shenault, or Tyson Williams. There, we're going to go Tyson Williams. You have to go Williams. This is just someone that we know is going to have a ridiculous workload this upcoming week. Le'Veon Bell, Devonta Freeman, they haven't been there that long whatsoever. He's been the only running back with that team. So you want to go with Tyson Williams. And then Felipe says, start Raheem Mostert or Deontay Johnson. Not going to say this many weeks this upcoming season, but this is the week to start Raheem Mostert. Put him in there, and I can tell you right now, he is going to be a sell high candidate for us in week 2. And then Aaron says, Mason, name the most random NFL player that comes first to mind. Can we do like Gary Barnidge? Can we do someone that's been out of the NFL for quite a while now? If we're going to talk about someone that's in the NFL currently, can we go with a Jalen Hurd? So hopefully that helped out at all. Cool Dud says they already picked up Freeman. Ben says start Swift, Higgins, or Laviska Shenault. There we're going to go T. Higgins. We're going to go T. Higgins against Minnesota. And John coming out with a donation, thank you, says Corey Davis, Laviska Shenault, Jacoby Myers, Myles Gaskin at the flex. There we're going to go Laviska Shenault. I think Shenault's going to start hot against a very bad Houston Texans team. And also we have to remember that DJ Chark hasn't been with the team that often. So I think Chark's going to start pretty slow. Go with Laviska Shenault. Okay, after we take Lamar Jackson, we got a lot of wide receivers going off the board. So it's putting us in a tough spot. We're going to grab a running back. I think at this point we kind of have to grab a running back in the 6, right? Jacobs goes to the 602 to Caden after he took Hawkinson at the 511. Love this 5-6 turn. Let's switch this back around. Jonathan coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much. My man says, use your draft guide for all 3 of my leagues, and I'm very happy with my teams. Happy Football Thursday to the flock. My man, thank you so much, of course, for hanging out with us in the live chat. The donation, getting our draft guide by using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Thank you so much, my man. Okay, so Davis at the 603. So Mr. Pimp Slap out here. He has 3 receivers, 2 running backs, and nothing else. So I'm assuming we're going to go running back. Wide receiver, I can't be taking like Cortland Sutton, Devonta Smith, Deebo Samuel, Corey Davis over these running backs here. He goes Dak Prescott, and obviously we weren't considering Dak when we have Lamar. Okay, Javonte Williams. Yeah, so we're going to go Darrell Henderson. Henderson was an option that I was screaming that was horrendous in the fourth before they bring in Sony Michel, but we were saying that because we knew they were bringing another running back in. So let's get Henderson at the 606. We have a donation coming out from Stinky Dipey who says, you think T. Higgins will be a top 20 wide receiver this year? Yes, I actually believe we have T. Higgins ranked at about wide receiver 20. Let me pull up my rankings, which keep in mind, guys, go get my entire ranking set whenever you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. And you also get $25 added to your account. You support the channel. You get to come out in these drafts with us. And right now, I have T. Higgins as literally wide receiver 20. I have that tier of ranking. So our tier 5 wide receiver. We have Evans at 17, Julio at 18, DJ Moore at 19, T. Higgins at 20, and then Brandon Ayuk at 21. Yeah, so we have T. Higgins right on the border of a top 20 wide receiver. So yes, we do. Then after this, we have No Chill Bill coming out with a donation. Of course, my man, thank you for always being out in these live streams. Says Jerry Jeudy or Michael Pittman for the last wide receiver position. There, personally, I'd be going Jerry Jeudy. I mean, with Jerry Jeudy going up against the Giants, also Courtland Sutton, we may not necessarily know exactly how he's going to get worked into the offense right away. Michael Pittman, we don't know exactly how healthy you're going to have Carson Wentz this upcoming week. So we're going to go Jerry Jeudy over Michael Pittman. The special K says Debo, Odell Beckham Jr., or Darrell Henderson at the flex. There you want to be going Darrell Henderson. I mean, like I said, guys, Darrell Henderson has a great matchup this week. I know that Chicago, for whatever reason, has a lot of people thinking that they're a great defense, while they may once were a great defense. I can't speak. Y'all know I'm an idiot. Now they're not. I mean, Chicago's a team that you are going to see the Rams put up a lot of points against. Again, guys, do not worry about... I hate to say this because obviously I'm not a detective. Obviously, I'm not a reporter. I will just say I am not worried about DeAndre Swift. Personally, I am not worried about DeAndre Swift. That's all I have to say about that. I mean, if I'm pulling up DeAndre Swift on Twitter right now, of course, there's some pretty funny memes, but I don't think we have to worry about anything, to be honest. I guess we have Smith at the 704. We like seeing that yet a lot of running backs go off between our picks there with Darrell Henderson, so that's going to be good for us to grab a wide receiver with this next selection. I can promise you, when we have Lamar Jackson here, we're not going to be considering a quarterback. We're just going to be grabbing whatever wide receiver is available to us. So Marquez Callaway goes. So Juju's going to be a pretty easy decision here. And Marquez Callaway at the 706, I just need to be on record. Marquez Callaway is being severely overrated in fantasy drafts. Callaway should not be going over Juju. I mean, that sounds like a crazy thing that I even have to say, but I want to be on record. I want to be on record in saying that, because going with the Marquez Callaway over Juju Smith-Schuster, that is reckless to say the least, to be honest. Okay, so let's pull this back up. Steven says Lamar is the running back one on the Ravens right now, right? Yeah, Lamar's been the running back one on the Ravens. I mean, if you're just making a bet on someone that's going to lead the Ravens in rushing yards, it's Lamar Jackson, of course. And that's just a cheat code to have at quarterback, because we know he's not going to be a high volume passer, but he is going to be someone that is at least adding something on as if he's a running back. So, I mean, I had Lamar Jackson as our quarterback too before the J.K. Dobbins injury, before also the injury that was occurred to Gus Edwards. Now I can tell you right now, like if I'm going over and adjusting my rankings, we're going to be moving him behind both Kyler Murray and Josh Allen. So yeah, Lamar Jackson no longer can have him as your quarterback too, because I think this offense is going to be in a much tougher spot, but still someone I want to be overweight on. Okay, so now let's switch this back over. We're not going to be considering Logan Thomas when we grab a Darren Waller. We're not going to consider a quarterback when we have Lamar Jackson. So we're exclusively a running back and receiver from here. And honestly, we're probably just going to grab a wide receiver. I mean, I know A.J. Dillon's the value according to ADP. I know A.J. Dillon has the elite level ceiling, and I love getting Dillon in the 9th round. But in the 8th, that's going to be pretty rich for me. So instead, we're just going to grab whatever the best available wide receiver is for us. Okay, so that guy's going to be Brandon Cooks. I have Brandon Cooks in so many of these drafts. Like, let me go through and pull up exactly how many leagues I've drafted Brandon Cooks in so far. You're probably going to be pretty surprised. You're going to be surprised to see how many leagues I have Brandon Cooks in. And oh my gosh, the puppy. Okay, so it looks like you actually have the puppy draft ending in 15 minutes, and the puppy draft is going to have 20,000 spots not taken. So Underdog's going to have to pump in an additional like 100,000 into that contest. They're still going to be profitable overall for the contest because the rake's going to outweigh it. But sad to see that the puppy 3 is not going to fill for Underdog. That's great if you have any teams in the puppy 3, but probably pretty bad for Underdog themselves. I mean, they filled Best Ball Mania. They filled the big dog. That's what they definitely needed to focus in on. So just congrats to Underdog for being able to go through and get that many people. I mean, Underdog has done hundreds of thousands of drafts, guys. Hundreds of thousands of drafts. Like if you go and you hop in an Underdog draft right now, it's going to feel like that. They just go off right away. And Eric coming in with a donation says, trade Jerry Jeudy for Tyson Williams. Need depth. Is that too much? Yes, you can't trade Jerry Jeudy for Tyson Williams. I actually drafted Tyson Williams in the 11th round earlier today. We have seen Tyson Williams also get drafted in the 9th. You'll see exactly where he goes now. But trading Jerry Jeudy for Tyson Williams, that's going to be a significant overpay. Please do not do that. Now, after we take Cooks here, you do have Ronald Jones, Sony Michel going. We didn't even have the chance to go with A.J. Dillon. He goes at the 805 anyway. So if we're pulling this back up, keep in mind this is a league where you have to start 3 wide receivers. You also have a flex and it's best ball. Now, we're going to be less interested in a Michael Thomas because this is a league where we don't have the fantasy football playoffs. It's just cumulative scoring throughout the entire year. So you don't necessarily want to be raising Michael Thomas up an insane amount here. Instead, I actually think that we're probably going to grab a running back. A tiny chance that he goes to Baltimore. The chance would have been higher before Freeman coming in. But let's just grab Melvin Gordon in the 9th round. I mean, imagine what happens to Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, both of their fantasy values, if you end up having Melvin Gordon getting traded. Like if Melvin Gordon got traded to Baltimore right now, Melvin Gordon's what? He's a running back going in this DeAndre Swift, Miles Sanders range. Like, please spam this in the live chat right now. Spam this in the live chat. I need your opinion on this. If Melvin Gordon was traded to Baltimore tomorrow for a 3rd round pick, who do you want in your fantasy league? DeAndre Swift or Melvin Gordon? Please spam that right now. If Melvin Gordon was traded to Baltimore for a 3rd round pick, do you prefer Melvin Gordon or DeAndre Swift in fantasy this season? I'm going to be looking at the chat. We're going to see your exact opinion. And also Javonte Williams. I mean, Javonte Williams would probably go up to that same range. Maybe Javonte would be up in like the James Robinson, David Montgomery range. I think that'd be a very intriguing though. Cam says the big dog closes in 30 seconds. Yeah, the big dog is now closed. You have 11 more minutes to enter into the puppy draft. Honestly, this is so sad. This is so sad. Like, I don't even know what we're going to be doing when we're recording those Patreon podcasts anymore. I spend hours every day recording podcasts, and all I do to pass the time is enter into those underdog drafts. And now that we can't just spam, we just can't be in a puppy draft every single second of the day. It's sad. I recommend y'all get in underdog fantasy, get in a draft right now before it's too. Okay, so now let's check the chat. We have Swift, Gordon, Swift, Gordon, Swift. It looks like it's probably, I probably pinned it exactly where it'd be. It seems like it's y'all literally half and half. It's half and half right now, DeAndre Swift and Melvin Gordon. So I think that we nailed that exactly where you'd be going in drafts. I mean, if you go check the chat, it's literally just Gordon, Swift. That's crazy. Russell Gage at the 10:02. Terrace Marshall at the 10:03. Let's pull this back up. Okay, so obviously quarterbacks are the value here. Going back to what I was saying, if we had the fantasy football playoffs, we take Michael Thomas here every single time. But him missing that amount of time is going to be pretty hard to overcome. Curtis Samuel sees that setback with a groin injury. Do we have any reports on that as of late? Takes no reps. God, yeah, you can't draft Curtis Samuel at this point either. We're going to reach on our wide receiver 5. It sucks. We have to. We're going to take Devontae Parker as our wide receiver 5. In a different format, I am never taking Devontae Parker over here. Do not see me do that and go, okay, well, I guess Mason now likes Michael Thomas. I mean, Devontae Parker more than Michael Thomas. No, it's because this is going to be a best ball format where you have to start 3 wide receivers. I mean, you're getting guys like Bryan Edwards going right after. So the running backs in a regular league are going to be way better there. The wide receivers in a regular league, you would rather go with Michael Thomas. But Devontae Parker at the 10:06 is going to be intriguing there. Aaron says, what are your thoughts on my teams? On my team, I'm Adope G. Okay, so yeah, let's go through and let's check that out. He is Adope G, and now he is drafting at the 103. He went Kamara, Sanders, Sermon at running back, as well as James Conner at the 10-10. He grabbed the elite quarterback in Josh Allen. He grabbed Logan Thomas at a great value. I never see Logan Thomas falling that far anymore. And then Jefferson, McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers. For now, the team looks good. I'm worried what it's going to look like in 5 rounds when you're having to take these disgusting receivers, though. Like at this point, you are probably done drafting running back, to be honest, at least for the foreseeable future. And we're going to have to see you take some wide receivers, and the receivers in this range are going to be pretty gross. And Blur says, has Mason taken any shares of Tyson Williams or Le'Veon Bell today? Yes, I took Tyson Williams in the 11th round in a draft earlier, and we also had Tyson Williams go off in the 9th round in the last draft. I didn't take him in the 9th, but we took him in the 11th. Okay, so Caden says, how's the squad? Mason, love my Bolts. We'll go through and we'll check out Caden's team. He is San Diego's finest. You have a pretty good name on Underdog, Caden. Let me know, guys. Please spam the chat right now with what your names are on Underdog. Let me know. Spam the chat right now with what your Underdog name is. Because one nice thing about Underdog is since they really got steam last year and they've really only been getting like the 100,000 drafts in since last offseason. Like they probably have had well over 1 million drafts now. Actually, I can confidently say they've had well over 1 million drafts. But if you just think about it, I mean, compared to like some of the other contests that have, I mean, platforms that have been around like for 8 years where it's so hard for you to find a name that you actually like. Here you can find a real name that you like. I mean, Cam says he has Jim Halpert. Okay, so his name is Jim Halpert on Underdog. Billy Moss says his is Billy Moss 7. Okay, so his name is the exact same as his YouTube. Yeah, Thomas got his exact name. Randy says, my dude. There's no way your name on Underdog is my dude. If your name is Underdog, my dude, that is awesome. I'll have to send you a Fantasy Flock Network hat whenever we get them. Okay, now that when we're going to be back on the clock. Yeah, I think that we honestly have to go Tony Pollard. Actually, no, we have Zeke. Ooh, don't do this to us, computer. Okay, thank God. Thank God. We're going to go Leonard Fournette here. We're going to go Fournette as our running back 4. I would have preferred to get Tony Pollard if it was a team that we didn't have Ezekiel Elliott. But when you draft Ezekiel Elliott in the first, for us to win this league, Ezekiel Elliott has to stay healthy. He has to stay healthy. So there's no reason for us to go through and draft Tony Pollard on that same team. So let me see. Foster says he's a monkfish. Two Turn says lucky me. Mate says play for keeps. Aaron Jones says a Jones 16. Victoria Garcia. Saram gets Rummy Rams, of course. And Steven has Cheeky Hobson. Falony says Falony. Yeah, so, I mean, you can pretty much get the exact name that you want on Underdog. Of course, that's not going to be the case next offseason, though. And Stinky Dybie comes out and says, would you be happy with Mixon plus Jefferson after drafting CMC in a 10-team league? Love your channel, by the way. Man, thank you so much. I will say I will be happy with that. However, with drafting Christian McCaffrey, the advantage that you actually get is you can afford to go through and you can afford to punt your running back too. So what I would say is I would actually prefer to get Darren Waller in the second round over Joe Mixon on a Christian McCaffrey build because you're not having to reach on that second running back. And with the Darren Waller in a 10-man format, he's going to give you an edge at tight end that's going to be very hard to find later in the draft. And we know in a 10-man league compared to a 12-man league, it's going to be a lot easier to find that running back depth. So I would be happy with it, but I would actually probably prefer to see you go instead with Darren Waller. And Jimmy Range says he's at the 104. Okay, so we'll go through and we'll check out Jimmy Range as well. I'm sorry, it's a Jimmer Range. I apologize for that. Okay, Cole Beasley at the 1201. James comes out with a donation, says, "Sup Mason, Freeman worth an ad, or am I crazy?" In Dynasty, Devonta Freeman's worth an ad. In a regular shallow redraft league, you can't add Devonta Freeman. I mean, the thing is, guys, he averaged 3.2 yards per carry last year. I know yards per carry is a stat that has so many other things going into it. I know it's a very bad way to just go through and have lazy analysis with running backs. You don't want to be evaluating these guys on yards per carry, but we can safely say that this is a guy that's fallen off. I mean, he's not someone that we want to be looking at and saying, yeah, he's 100% going to be a value. He's 100% going to have a role in this team. I think there's a chance that they bring him in. He's there for like a week and then they go to someone else. Tyrell Williams at the 1203. Let's bring this up. So the quarterbacks are great values here. Like getting Joe Burrow. I know we have Lamar. I think we have to take Joe Burrow at the 1206 though. No, we are so thin at receiver. We need to bring in more wide receivers. It sucks, but we need to take Nelson Aguilar here. I mean, it's probably our fault for drafting Lamar Jackson earlier on, but these drafters have just soaked up everything at wide receiver. And for us to go with the Leonard Fournette in that last round, I'm kind of fine with. Yeah, Joe Burrow, seeing him at the 1207, that makes me so upset with what we ended up doing earlier with Lamar Jackson in the 5th. And also, guys, if you are just now coming to this live stream, make sure you go down there, drop a like on the live stream, subscribe to the channel. We are going through and live streaming every single day. We are also going to be going and making videos every day at the same time. So if you're not subscribed, fix your life. Go down there and make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it. So thank God we go Nelson Aguilar here instead of Joe Burrow. After seeing more wide receivers go off the board here, we would have been in a pretty tough spot if we decided to go with Joe Burrow in the 12th round. That would have been really tough for us. Marquez Valdez-Scantling at the 12-10. Gerald Everett at the 12-11. And also, if you were just now coming into the stream and you're wondering what we're doing right now, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is by far and away my favorite place to play fantasy football in 2021. And they're going to be doing weekly drafts at the same time that we're going to do on the live stream every single night. So if you want to get a part of it and take advantage of a great deal that we have, when you go to Underdog Fantasy, make a $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK. You actually get $25 added to your account. You get our 2021 rankings, our 2021 draft guide, our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. It's like hundreds of pages of information for a $10 deposit. Please make sure you're taking advantage of that, guys. It helps us out a ton. Okay, so let me go and read some of the questions in the general chat for everybody out here right now. So Northwest says, is it possible for me to join one of your drafts? Can we get in for one like 200 or so going maybe? I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. Like, do you want a $200 buy-in draft? We're not going to do any $200 buy-in drafts, my man. I'm trying to get in as many people into these as possible. So yeah, I apologize for that. We're not going to do a $200 buy-in. We'll do another $10 buy-in after this. James says, should I start Ronald Jones over David Montgomery this week? No, you have to start Monty. Let's go through. And Goose Scan Gaming says, do you think Darrell Henderson is a worthy flex start? Yes, 100% this week. Going up against Chicago, it's a great matchup for him. Michael says, traded Cup and Trey Sermon for Adam Thielen and DeAndre Swift in an 8-man PPR format. In an 8-man PPR format, all we care about is upside, upside, upside. Wide receiver depth is not going to matter that much. For that reason, I do probably prefer a DeAndre Swift and just getting the running back upgrade there. So now pulling this up. Do we really have to reach this much on Traquan Smith? We have 6 wide receivers. We're just going to take Lawrence. He has a different bye week than Lamar Jackson. It sucks that we even have to make that decision. Like, it sucks that we can't be that excited about getting that value. And keep in mind, guys, this is a league where there's no waiver wire. So it actually is a spot where you have to be going through and drafting multiple players at QB and multiple players at tight end. I mean, a regular league, we're never drafting another quarterback when we have Lamar Jackson. So let's move this down right now. And Joe says, how can I join the draft if I don't see it on the app? So that automated message that you see in the live chat, that's for helping people to go through and get signed up for Underdog Fantasy. Because when you sign up for Underdog and you make that $10 deposit, because you get $25 added to your account with promo code FLOCK, I mean, you do need to make sure that you're verifying your identity. And that's going to take, in my case, it took about 3 minutes. And in the case of other people, I know they said it was instant, but it's not instant for everybody. I think it's more so state by state. So you're going to have to verify your identity. And that's going to take a little bit of time. And I'm telling you, when we send out the link to the private draft for these leagues, they're going to fill in half a second. They fill literally like that. So I'm going to have to just make sure that we are going through and getting y'all set up beforehand, because I want to be able to send out that link and you can just join it. And y'all are going to see that if you do not set up your account before the private draft invite is sent, you have no chance. No chance. Okay, so Caden coming out, getting Josh Palmer. We'll go through and check out Caden's team for him real quick. And with Caden, he has Herbert. So he's getting a double stack with Mike Williams, Josh Palmer. Maybe he has Eckler at the top as well. Yeah, so we got Eckler at the 202. Yeah, so San Diego's finest. Apparently did not hear that the Los Angeles Chargers are now in Los Angeles, but still goes through and just loads up on a ton of his guys out there. Loads up on a ton of those guys. So let's scroll this down just a little bit. Tevin Coleman at the 1403. And obviously it sucks to see all these wide receivers going, but still, now that we get these quarterbacks off the board, I think we are in a fine spot. So now we are exclusively looking running back, wide receiver, tight end the rest of this draft. Rashad Bateman, not that intriguing considering the fact that we don't have the fantasy football playoffs here. And I'm fine if people want to continue to take wide receiver, to be honest, in that I think that a lot of the guys that you're going to be looking at in this range, they're pretty similar. So I'm fine passing on a receiver. And instead, we're just going to get Philip Lindsay as our running back 5. When we take Lindsay here, we're most likely going to be done at running back. And yeah, with the Philip Lindsay, I mean, maybe he gets a bump up if David Johnson does indeed end up getting traded to Baltimore. So let's go Lindsay at the 1406. Crowder goes directly after. And yeah, all the wide receivers are the exact same for me there. So it's not going to be a massive deal regardless. And Pedro comes out with the donation. Thank you, my man, who says, just want to say thanks for your help, my man. Love your live streams. No, man, thank you. Like, literally, there's nothing that I enjoy more than coming out here and doing these live streams. That's why we're doing them as much as we are. I've live streamed every single day over the past 5 weeks. So thank you for coming out to the live chat and just hanging out with us. Like, I mean, if you're coming out to the live chat and hanging out with us, that is just a massive help. Keelan Cole Sr. says, why didn't you pick me? Sorry, my man. I'm sorry. I was my ultimate sleeper in the last round. Harry says, Gus the bus, more like Gus the ambulance. My man, too soon. Too soon, my friend, too soon. I mean, imagine Gus Edwards over the past month. Like, imagine you're Gus Edwards, right? You're going through, you weren't necessarily a super high prospect coming into the NFL. You were extremely impressive for your opportunity through the first 2 years in your NFL career. And then the starting running back in J.K. Dobbins goes down for the year in front of you. And you're like, okay, we just signed this contract extension. Let's go through. Let's prove that we're worth it. Let's handle this feature down role. I mean, you know, Gus Edwards was in a spot where he was probably like, make it or break it. I mean, he was all in. And then you get done for the year yourself with an injury during practice, like when you're not expecting it. Like, oh, it must be just brutal to be Gus Edwards. I feel so bad for the guy. Now, Latavius Murray does go at the 1501. So maybe people really think that Latavius is going over to Baltimore. People really think Latavius is going over to Baltimore. Like I said, I think that was a case that we could have easily seen until Freeman gets signed. Freeman getting signed probably does lower the chances of that happening. So now we're just running back, receiver, tight end from here. Yeah, so we should have an elite quarterback on this team. We should have an elite tight end with Darren Waller. We should be fine at running back with Zeke, Henderson, Gordon, Fournette, Lindsey. And we're just going to be weak at wide receiver. We only have Woods, Deontay, Juju, Brandon Cooks, Devontae Parker, and Nelson Aguilar. So we're going to be weak at wide receiver here. Let's take Dimey Brown. I think with Dimey Brown, you do have to bump him up with the injury to Curtis Samuel. So let's take Dimey Brown as our wide receiver 7, I believe. Let's go through, and this is going to be our draft so far, guys. It's paying up to get that elite level tight end and that elite level quarterback. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. JN says, Mahomes drafted at the 105 in my puppy league. LOL. Oh, I'm going to miss those puppy drafts. Like, it's sad. Now we're going to be doing battle royales on Underdog, which are, I mean, those are extremely fun as well. But it's not going to be the same as those puppy leagues. It's just not going to be the same. So we have Tony Jones at the, oh my gosh, that Tony Jones selection is so good. We made a mistake here. I think that we should have gone Jamison Crowder. Where did Tyson Williams end up going in this draft? Has Tyson Williams not gotten drafted yet? Please, for the love of God. Okay, so he went at the 10:04. I was going to say, oh my, if we passed on him because he wasn't at the top of ADP and we just completely overlooked him and took Philip Lindsay instead, that would have been like the most embarrassing thing ever. I don't think we could have come back from that. Zach Ertz at the 15-12. That would have been a tight end that we'd have really liked to get if he would have made it back to us in the next round. I mean, obviously, he was also in play for us in the 15th. The problem is we just really needed a receiver. And when we have Darren Waller, it's not necessarily a spot that we have to go through and get. Kenneth Gainwell at the 16-01. Let's switch this back over. Get these quarterbacks going. Like, what the hell? Baker Mayfield with an ADP of 155. Baker with an ADP of 155 still available. I feel like we're getting trolled here. We're running back, receiver, tight end from here on out. I think that we could go with the 6th running back if we want, because we could have those guys sliding in the flex spot. TK Birdie says, can you please break down the 110? Yeah, we'll go through, break down the 110 for TK Birdie. After this pick, we may be done with this draft, and I'll queue up my next few players, and we'll get another one going for everybody in the live stream. So I want to at least get one more going, because I don't necessarily know if we're going to be able to once we get closer to kickoff. So now when you have Johnson going off, grab Blake Jarwin here. Let's go through and let me show off this draft board for anybody just now coming into the stream. And if you are just now coming into the stream, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. So TK Birdie in the live chat right now got in this draft at the 110. And they went Barkley in the first, Ridley in the second. I love the first 4 rounds here. I think the first 4 rounds are perfect. Laviska in the 5th. This is no man's land. Personally, I would go with Hawkinson, but I completely understand wanting to go with Laviska Shenault. Mike Davis at the 603. Considering we don't have the fantasy football playoffs, I'm fine with it. I don't love it. Really like Kenny Golladay at the 710. Rodgers at the 803. I think I would probably take a wide receiver in this range instead. I mean, at least you do get the stack with Robert Tonyan and Aaron Rodgers, Terrace Marshall, Tony Pollard, Tyrell Williams, Matt Ryan, Tevin Coleman, Byron Pringle, Pat Frymuth. Yeah, I really like that draft. I really like that draft. I'm going to be intrigued to see if you go with 2 or 3 tight ends. Let me get another draft going for everybody out in this live chat who's used promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Let me first pull this over, and then we'll go through and check out what we have. And We Love Sports says, what's your optimal roster configuration? Okay, so if we're going to be playing in a league that's either the puppy draft, the big dog, or something that you see with Best Ball Mania where you have the large tournament at the very end, there I think you want to cap yourself at 5 running backs. Really try to get 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends. That way you can load up on 9 wide receivers at the very least. But if you're playing in one of these leagues, however, where you're just going up against 11 other people and it's a private draft, then I actually prefer 2 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 8 receivers, and 2 tight ends. I think you have a little bit of a higher floor there. Now, keep in mind, it's really going to matter as well with what you actually have in terms of the value that you can get at certain positions and when you make that investment into players. Okay, so we're just queuing these guys up. That way I can pivot over and instead okay, we just set a pretty large queue. That way we can go through and that way we can just get another draft going right after this. Okay, so I'm going to send out a $10 draft link in the live chat right now. It's going to say $10 draft here, and then it's going to have the link right after. So let me go through and set that up for everybody. Highlight coming out with the donation. Thank you so much, my man. And I will say, oh my gosh, Underdog Fantasy has a $1,000 draft out there right now. That is wild. That is wild. I didn't even see that with Underdog Fantasy. Okay, that's just for this week. Okay, so it's like a head-to-head. It's like a head-to-head DFS contest. That's really intriguing. You know what? Now that I'm pulling this up, guys, it looks like there are no more 12-man $10. There are no more 12-man drafts on Underdog Fantasy for just the entire season. So now the drafts are going to be just this week. Do y'all want to get a week 1 draft in? And this is what I can show y'all what we're going to be doing for the majority of the 2021 season. But first, let's answer highlights question who says, should I trade Keenan Allen for Antonio Gibson full PPR because I had Gus and need running back help now? 100%. Go make that trade. I mean, don't even spend another second in this chat right now. Go out there and make that trade. So now let me know what y'all want. Do y'all want us to go through and do a draft for this week? That's what we're probably going to do here. Let's go and let's get a draft going for NFL Sunday. We're going to do NFL Sunday for the 1 p.m. games. I mean, the 1 p.m. and the 4 p.m. games. We'll get a $10 10-person draft going. I'm going to create a private draft. This is just for week 1. This is just going to be for week 1, guys. And let me go through and look at the exact details to this so I can explain it to y'all out loud. Okay, so the roster configuration is you're going to have 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 receivers, a flex, and 1 tight end. Okay? So keep in mind, it's 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 receivers, a flex, and a tight end for this draft. We're going to create a private one. Ricardo says to do a $1,000 live draft. That would be an event. I will tell you that. We're not going to be able to do that. I'm sorry. I apologize. We're not going to be able to do that. Okay, so this is going to be a week 1 draft right here. And get ready, guys, because you're going to be seeing these a ton this upcoming season. We're going to be getting a ton of these going. Okay, so I just sent that out right now. And I'm excited to see how this goes. Guys. And thank you to everybody going down there, dropping a like on the live stream, subscribing to the channel. Obviously, that helps us out a ton. This is getting filled extremely fast. I'm sure that most of y'all wanted to get in and probably couldn't. But let's see where we're going to be picking. Okay, so we're picking at the 108, and I have no idea. I've never done one of these drafts. Oh, this is gross. So we're going to have to reconfigure. We're going to have to reconfigure this board. Oh, this is going to be gross for the live stream, guys. Bear with me while we figure this out. Okay, so I guess maybe that's better. Oh, this is going to be tough, guys. We're going to have to go through and fix the entire screen for tonight. Oh, it's going to be tough. Okay, so keep in mind you have 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex in this league. And this is just going to be 10 people in here. Okay, so if you look at the drafters, you have J-Buck, J.K. Ooper, ASAP, Zeke, flocking up, my dude, Will C, Victoria, Joe Imps, San Diego's finest, Dust in the Wind. Okay, I'm excited about this. And Fallon says, any rain in Tampa tonight? It was raining really hard earlier, like I was literally running through downtown in the rain. But right now it's sunny out my window. Okay, so CMC, Travis Kelce go at the 101, the 102. J.K. Ooper out here crushing, taking Travis Kelce. Dalvin Cook at the 103. Maybe we can get another one. I'm excited to get these going, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun this season. I'm going to have to do a lot of research on the optimal strategy for this league. Devontae Adams at the 104. We may be able to get another one of these going after this. Alvin Kamara. Okay, so now, obviously you have all the quarterbacks falling. You only need 1 running back here. You need 2 receivers. You need a tight end. Okay, so they don't sort it by ADP. They're sorting it by projections. Okay, that makes a lot more sense here. We're going to take George Kittle probably. Yeah, we're going to take Kittle here. And I am the first person to admit that I am a straight up fish when it comes to this. Like, there are probably a lot of y'all in the live chat right now that are going to be a lot better drafting for this format than I am. So I encourage you to try to get into a draft with me while you still can here, while I still don't know what's going on. Because probably during the game, I'm going to be going through and doing research. That way I can be crushing y'all in these drafts tonight. San Diego's finest does go Stephon Diggs, then Calvin Ridley. Okay, so obviously when we take Kittle, now we're not going to be taking another tight end. Let's pull this back up. Running back and receiver here. Okay, so AJ Brown goes. So I think we honestly, based on how this draft has gone so far, I think we honestly kind of have to grab one of these wide receivers. So let's grab a Justin Jefferson. So this is exciting. This is really exciting. Okay, so Jefferson goes to the 203. I just don't know what we're going to expect. Metcalf at the 204. So thank God we grabbed another receiver. You have to start 2 wide receivers in this format, and you have a flex. You only have to start 1 running back. You only have to start 1 QB, and you only have to start 1 tight end. Jonathan Taylor goes at the 205. Jacob in the chat says, what's the best 3 quarterbacks to draft? Okay, so before the injuries that Baltimore had, I actually had it where we were going Mahomes 1, Lamar 2, then Kyler. Now I think that it probably goes Mahomes, Kyler, Allen. I think we have to move Lamar down to quarterback 4 just because I think the overall offense is going to have a much harder time picking up first downs and everything in between. So it's pretty tough. Aaron says, how many rounds is this? Just a 6-round draft. So we're going to be able to get in. Like, if you want to get into these with me on the live stream this season, you're going to be able to get into a ton of them. You're going to be able to get into a ton of them with me. McLaurin goes to the 207. I was surprised whenever we looked at like the player pool, because usually you see the player pool sorted by ADP, and I saw all the quarterbacks. I was like, people are taking the quarterbacks up there. So J.K. Ooper gets the Kelsey and the Mahomes stack. Okay, they're going in with the Kansas City Chiefs onesie positions there. Michael says, should I start Antonio Brown tonight or Mike Davis on Sunday? I'll probably go Mike Davis on Sunday. J-Buck on the clock goes Julio Jones at the 210. Honestly, I'm not going to regret this Kittle pick at all, because we look at the tight ends that are available right now. The tight ends that are available, you got Hawkinson. Actually, I guess if we could have got Hawkinson in the next round, maybe that's a pick that we end up regretting. But the problem is that, like, tight end, you see the fall off happen so quickly. I would honestly assume that in most drafts, when people are used to this format, Hawkinson's going in the 2nd. So let's pull this back up. Got Kyler Murray at the 303. And Talon says, start Rojo over Julio if I have A.J. Brown. No, start Julio Jones, please. And then we have DC says 2 of 3 from Saquon Barkley, Joe Mixon, and Darrell Henderson. There, I think you still want Barkley and Mixon, even though Mixon does have a very tough matchup against Minnesota. I think Minnesota's defensive line is going to manhandle what you actually have in in Cincinnati. Okay, so running back, receiver. We're not looking at tight end right now. Yeah, receiver, you've seen the fall off already. Hawkinson goes to the 306. You only need 1 running back. What quarterbacks are available? Will took Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen with no stack involved either. Intriguing. See where Joe goes. He's taking Henry and DK Metcalf. He goes Josh Allen. Honestly, we were going to take Allen there. Now with Austin Eckler being questionable, I think that it takes 1 running back away from the player pool. So we're most likely going to go with Joe Mixon here. So we started this draft off with Kittle, Jefferson, Mixon. Kittle, Jefferson, Mixon. And Brosi in the live chat says, Woods, Lockett, or Anderson. Pick 2, please. Much love. Here we're going to go. Robert Woods, definitely for one of these. Between Tyler Lockett, Robbie Anderson, it's a little closer. I know consensus would say to go with Tyler Lockett. Personally, I may go Robbie Anderson, however. I think we may go Robbie Anderson there. Nash coming out says, Jonnu at the 807, officially the craziest pick. I've never seen Jonnu go that high. That is pretty wild. And Ty says, did CeeDee Lamb fall off? Question mark. I don't know why. Maybe CeeDee Lamb falling in this draft. Is that why you're saying that? I think that honestly we kind of have to go mixed in here because the big thing is we looked at both of these teams. Neither of them had a running back, so I kind of assumed that they were going to be grabbing one there. So looking running back, it's going to be really hard to grab a running back for us at this point when we already have Mixon. Carson as well. Yeah, we're not going to be considering a tight end, of course. It's pretty much, do we want a quarterback or a wide receiver here? It's either quarterback or receiver. There's just so many goddamn receivers. See what Caden does. He already has 2 wide receivers. He goes Justin Herbert. So Caden gets his guy. We're going to end up just taking Russell Wilson most likely here. How many teams already have quarterback? No, enough teams have quarterback that don't. No, we still need to go Russ. We need to go Russ. Yeah, let's take Russell Wilson. And like I said, guys, I do have no idea what I'm doing right here. This could be horrendous. Y'all could be laughing at me right now, and it's going to be completely understandable. But like if we're trying to reevaluate like what we did in this draft, like taking Kittle in the first versus like Kyle Pitts in the 4th. So we're taking Kittle over like Stephon Diggs. And then do you prefer like Kittle and Lockett, or do you prefer Kyle Pitts and Diggs? Probably Kyle Pitts and Diggs, right? This is just for week 1, guys. This is just for week 1. Get Tyler Lockett at the 406. And once we understand this format, it'll be a lot more fun. And what I'm probably going to do a lot is we'll probably have these getting drafted in the background as I go through and I answer a lot of your questions whenever we're streaming. So yeah, I mean, we're going to be getting a lot of these out. If you think you're a better drafter than me in these, which is completely possible, you'll be able to take a lot of money from me. I'll say that. Okay, so now there are only 2 teams that have yet to go with the quarterback. There are only 2 teams that have yet to go with QB. Get Lockett, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk. Layden says, was Waller not drafted? Darren Waller was not in the player pool on this. This is only for the Sunday games. Only for the Sunday games. I think like 12 and the 4 p.m. I mean, the 1 p.m. and the 4 p.m. games. Tucker says, Mason missed out on the beginning part of the draft. Do you think Freeman is worth a roster spot on the bench? I'm not picking up Devonta Freeman. I'm not picking up Freeman personally. Okay, so now Ty says, so should I start Higgins over Lamb for week 1 then? What are you talking about with why are you talking about like CeeDee Lamb falling off all of a sudden? No, CeeDee Lamb's the guy you're starting. What are you talking about with Lamb? Did something happen? Nick says, do I trade Kelsey for Nick Chubb? I owned Gus Edwards as my running back 2, Gronk on my bench. Oh, that is tough. I mean, I definitely prefer having Travis Kelsey over Nick Chubb. I prefer Travis Kelsey over Nick Chubb, but if you had Gus Edwards, that's pretty tough. Jayan says, Mason with the unbuttoned shirt. He's getting cocky. More so, my man, we were planning on a 4-hour live stream right now, and it's in the middle of the day in Florida, so I'm not trying to sit here and sweat myself to death. We love sports, says Pitts and Diggs. I think y'all are right. I think we should have gone with an elite wide receiver over George Kittle. I think we should have gone with an elite wide receiver and get Nick Chubb at the 502. Nick Chubb at the 502. That is ridiculous value. It's ridiculous value. Let's pull this up. Obviously, we can't take QB here. We can't take tight end. We're only running back and wide receiver. We're running back and receiver. The teams after us have 2 receivers each, so they're going to be just taking a flex, and they also need to take a tight end. So you get Noah Fant at the 504, Robert Tonyan at the 503. This is kind of what I was avoiding. I didn't want to be taking these guys here. But I think y'all are right. I think wide receiver fell off fast enough that we should probably go receiver in the first round on the next one if we have that chance. Like if we were going to go Kelsey there, Kelsey makes a lot of sense. But George Kittle, not necessarily the player we want. Eckler at the 505. Seems a little rich to take Austin Eckler. This is only a week 1 draft. Taking Eckler there when he's questionable. Don't know if we can get behind that. And Dorado says, Josh Jacobs questionable. Should I start Michael Gallup or Juju? No, start Josh Jacobs. And DC says, Robbie Anderson, Deontay Johnson, or Jerry Jeudy. There for this week, I'm going to be going with Robbie Anderson. And now when we're on the clock, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting a fully healthy practice in, I think we go CEH. A lot of these wide receivers are in the exact same range for us here, and these teams between us are taking their flex spots. And I think they would most likely take Clyde Edwards-Helaire over the other players in that range for their flex. So let's just get our flex first with CEH. So this is going to be a draft where we have like Kittle at tight end. We have Mixon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back, Wilson at quarterback, Jefferson at receiver. And then our last wide receiver is going to be someone like Brandon Cooks. Let's go through and figure out who our last wide receiver is going to be. Like, let's compare it to these teams that picked right after us. And they're going to have to grab at least one of the tight ends here. So San Diego's finest goes Mike Davis at the 509. So like they have let's go Mixon, CEH versus Barkley, Davis. We prefer our running backs. I mean, here our quarterbacks are a wash. So it really comes down to like, do we prefer their combo with their one tight end versus our 2 wide receivers versus that? It's close. It's close. Okay, let's pull this back up, and we're just looking wide receiver here. We need to draft one more wide receiver on this team. So Brandon Cooks, Robbie Anderson, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Jones, Claypool, Odell, Juju, Sutton, Boyd, Corey Davis, Devonta Smith, Kenny Golladay, and Jamar Chase. Okay, dust in the wind. On the clock, they go Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, we're kind of fine seeing Odell go off. There's one player that I would rather have. And yeah, Caden has to go tight end here, so we're going to get Robbie Anderson. So we're going to get Robbie Anderson as our second wide receiver on this team. So he goes Mike Gesicki. If we're looking at other wide receivers, Laviska Shenault's appealing. Beyond that, not too many players that stand out. So let's get Robbie Anderson in here. And yeah, this is going to be the draft. And honestly, guys, I think that, I know we said that we were going to live stream till kickoff, but I need to go through and I need to fix, like y'all are seeing like the live stream, how everything's so off right now on the screen. I need to make sure that we're fixing the live stream, that the live, like it's going to be able to look clean whenever we're doing this draft. So I wasn't expecting the entire window to be completely shifted here. So I'm probably gonna have to end the live stream now, and then I'll go through and make sure you're using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. After the game tonight, I'll be out hanging out, talking about the game. We'll be going through, answering some more questions, and we'll also be getting a ton of these drafts in. We're going to do 1 million Underdog drafts this upcoming season. And when you deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy, you can find the link in the description. You use promo code FLOCK. You get $25 added to your account. You get our rankings, our draft guide. I mean, you get really everything. So make sure you take advantage of that. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Really hope y'all have a great day. And RIP J.K. Dobbins, RIP Gus Edwards. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the live stream tonight. I definitely need to go through and fix this stream setup though.